Hey, everybody. Let's let me. This is again yet another amazingly professional fade out. Look at that, man. That's why I get paid the millions of dollars. So this is Cars at Night. This is actually episode 2. My my idea behind this thing and doing it every week. It turns out that it requires a little bit more time and effort than I anticipated. But I do have some amazing friends that make amazing stuff. And so these shows will be kind of coming at you whenever they're available, whenever we can coordinate schedules. So it's not going to be sort of a weekly scheduled program, but it will be, it will happen throughout, multiple times throughout the month. And with me, I have J.F. Dubeau, who has written 3 novels as of and is that so? Jeff, first off, hello, and how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was waiting for your instructions to unmute my mic.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just figured I would, yeah.
Oh no, I'm pro. I figured it out. Like I saw where the discussion was going, and I clicked the button.
Awesome. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm a bit overwhelmed. You mentioned I had written 3 books, but I've got 2 published, but maybe half a dozen written because.
Oh.
See, this is where I think you and I are going to connect, where we both probably produce more than we're capable of, reasonably distributing.
Yeah.
So,
That's it. That's very funny. I always think of like the legacy, like the way that Elliott Smith continued to put out records a handful of years after his death. I always figure, they'll be like hey, here's the errata stuff, and here's the lost files, and here's the. So I always figure that all of the stuff I create that I can't get out now, that'll come out after my post-mortem.
I've never thought about it this way, but yeah, you're probably right. I mean, if anybody cares at this point, which I'm not really foreseeing as super likely, fingers crossed people will care enough that I can make a living off of writing for a while. I never thought really about the idea of like at some point me dying and someone just going through my files and finding dozens of unpublished novels and actually doing something with it. The idea that there's a legacy. Now I'm terrified.
Well, this is my thinking behind that, right? Because it takes whoever inherits your stuff. They don't have to do any work. They've got it's got all it has is value for them, So all they need to do is go and find someone that's like, hey, let's put this out. So as long as you keep building your fan base, then they go, oh, this is great. Like I'm already halfway there. I can, we can generate revenue off of our dead, antecedent or whomever they were.
I beg to differ. Maybe your stuff is all professionally recorded and it's all super nice and well packaged on your computer, so that the moment you shuffle off the mortal coil, people will find like these finely produced finished albums. But when I croak and they go through my hobo organization of files and find books, someone will have a lot of footwork to do to make any of this legible, let alone publishable.
So
whoever profits is going to deserve whatever they get.
That's very funny. Oh, you know what? I really should do. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me add the chat to this to the stream so we can. So whomever just spoke, if you wouldn't mind adding your. Just repeating that again. Oh no, there it is. It's okay. There, it's already there. Okay, good. Awesome. So, yeah, man, that's here. I guess because we're kind of it's kind of cart before the horse right now, because we're ending up with the product. We're ending like I want to start with like the genesis of. Because the thing is, I know a lot of people that aspire to write, and a lot of the people that I talk to that aspire to write, I'm like, well, are you writing? And they're like, well, not, I can't find the time, but I really want to. And I'm like, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to write. You need to carve time out of your day to do the thing that you want to do. Like you're not, no one's gonna walk up and be like, hey, here's a writing career. Here's a 6-book deal, and So
it happens, but that's winning the lottery. It's like planning your retirement on the Powerball. It's great if it happens, but it's not a reasonable plan.
Yeah. I mean, and has that, and does it happen to people that don't write though? Has someone walk? I mean, oh, I guess if you're Donald Trump and you're like, I want to write 6 books, they'll be like, hell yeah, there's definitely a market for you writing 6 books, but.
Yeah, no, definitely. The thing is, like, there's a lot of paths to publication. You can, if you're already a celebrity, if you're already Chris Hardwick or
Sure.
Felicia Day, and you have tens of thousands of followers that will buy anything with your name on it, obviously you don't even have to want to write a book. You don't need to write a book. Eventually, a publisher will come to you and say, do you want to publish a book? We'll get you a ghostwriter. You just scribble down a bunch of ideas. They'll make sense of it, write a book, and your name and photo is going to be on it. But
Although
I don't know if I want to call those people writers. I mean, they're definitely entertainers. They do a good job, and the books with their names on it are certainly interesting. But I think it's such a different path.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I wonder, although I do have to say, if ever someone would approach me about getting a ghostwriter, I would demand that it be actually an actual ghost and a writer. So you know, Oscar Wilde, perhaps, you know, is Gore Vidal dead? Because Gore Vidal writes some great, you know, but, I think Gore Vidal is still alive. But yeah, when Gore Vidal shuffles off,
kill him.
Yeah. That's great.
Do it
Yeah,
dramatically enough that his ghost comes back to haunt you, and then you're all set. I aim for the stars.
yeah. So so at what point in time? Has this always been an aspiration of yours? Have you always aspired to write?
I'm not a super smart dude. So I don't want to make like a coming out of closet comparison, but it took me a while to figure out that writing was really the thing I wanted to do. Like, I've been doing the whole creating stories for like my entire life.
Yeah.
As a child, I was a prolific liar.
Yeah, good.
Then yes, it served me well at all. And I did like the whole like Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing game type thing, and I wanted to get into comic books, and there's so many things that if you look at everything I tried to do career-wise or entertainment-wise, everything always revolves around the idea of telling stories. Even like the Dungeons and Dragon thing quickly moved away from doing these stories where it's mostly hack and slash and we roll a bunch of dice, and I become this annoying elitist storyteller or dungeon master that would be no, it's about the characters, guys. And I would start each of my games with like a miniature narrative that was kind of like a behind the scenes of what's going on with the antagonist, just so I could write something and read it out loud. And some of my players loved it.
Yeah.
So many did not. And it's so hard to find players that have that sort of very literary approach to role-playing games. Like, it's Friday night. They want to get together, drink beer, eat pretzels and chips and Cheetos and Mountain Dew, and just pretend they're killing just all the kobolds.
Yeah. That's actually very funny. I too. I actually had a group of friends that I still get together, and we're actually planning on putting together another role playing stream. I've been one of the guys I've been gaming with since we were 14 years old. Or I was 14, he was 15. So it's been, so that's been 30 years of gaming, you know, that he and I have under our belt.
That's significant.
And yeah, that group is exactly like that group is, we get really deep into kind of what's going on. Like, we figure out character arcs, and we figure out kind of like, we look at what the other people are doing, and we're like, okay, how would my guy actually react off of this? And what's a direction I could send my character that's going to make something amazing, you know? And so it really was it, and it's funny because that is, for my money, like a really great role-playing campaign is basically like it's like an oral novel with 5 or 6 different authors, or 3 or 4 different authors, you know, however many people are actually involved, you know, because it is,
I used to compare it. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Oh, no, 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 go
I
ahead.
used to compare it to like collaborative improv tabletop theater,
Yeah.
where it's less about killing the dragon and more about everybody. Like the storyteller, the dungeon master is kind of the director, and he impersonates the extras, and he does all the antagonists, and everybody else is essentially a main actor, like a headliner, his responsibility is embodying his character more to the point of trying to really create a good story arc rather than trying to beat the dungeon master.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a different dynamic than a lot of the games I've played into, and there's nothing wrong with the other way of playing. I mean, it's fine, it's great. It's just I kind of get bored with it,
Yeah.
probably because I'm, like I said, an elitist asshole.
In your words, not very bright yet elitist asshole. No, that's
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
I've got nothing to back up my elitism. I try to replace intelligence with arrogance
Yeah.
and conviction with volume. I just scream louder and more arrogantly, and hopefully it translates as someone. Oh, he must know his
Yeah,
shit.
you know,
Listen to how loud he is.
I bet you 80%. I bet you that works. What, 80% of the time, 90% of the time?
In interviews for jobs, it's marvelous. It's amazing how much you can get away with if you're just like, one of the things one of my improv teachers told me, one of my improv coaches, like, if you keep slapping one hand into the other, like the back of one hand, like every time you make a point, you sound like you're so much more convicted about it. Yeah, I know if I learned actual facts instead of just tricks on how to get away with not knowing facts, I would be doing really well.
Yeah, but facts are, facts require study and require work, and like
I
it's just so
know,
much. Yeah,
right?
it's so much, and and the thing is it's not as much fun as just coming up with something off the top of your head that just seems to make sense. Uh, um,
I'm
but
selling
so
myself so short. This is gonna be terrible. People are gonna read my books and just assume everything is bullshit now. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Like, no, I researched it. Nah, you said yourself you're a liar. Great.
um. So you've got you say you've written about how many books do you have sort of in your archives?
Oh, geez. Okay, I published three. There's like three books I will never release to the public because they're absolute garbage. They're kind of my training wheels. And
Yeah, yeah,
since
yeah.
since then, right now I have four manuscripts that are just sitting around waiting for me to do something with them.
Awesome.
So, and not for lack of ideas, like mostly for lack of time. Otherwise, I would have more. Like right now, I wish I was writing, but I spent all day just doing editing, which is
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
right. That's
writing.
writing. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, because I mean, at least, when I was working in film and TV and working as a professional writer back then, I would just throw down 10,000 words of just palaver, and then it was all in the editing that was me kind of, I would just vomit ideas on the page, and then I'd be like, okay, let me frame this a little bit better, let me figure out how to present these ideas, and so yeah, that's for me editing was 90% of my writing
Yeah,
process.
I think it's. I'm gonna misquote again, like my ignorance just absolutely showing. I think it's Stephen King that said that there's no great writers, there's great rewriters. This
Yeah.
might be someone else. It's sorry, whoever. But anyways, there's a lot of truth to that. Like I like to think I do fairly good first drafts,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because I put a lot of thought before I actually sit down and write. But a lot of the cleaning up is necessary for, like, the ideas are there and you can see that there's something interesting, but until you go over it and rewrite some of it, it's everything just doesn't make sense. And I'm the book I'm editing right now is a sequel to God in the Shed, and I was going through it and just scribbling notes like, there's an entire storyline that you establish in chapter 2 that you never go back to. Maybe explore that. And it's just rife with things like that. And once I go back and either remove some of these ideas I never move forward with, or actually connect them to other things that I played around with but never really exploited, it's such a mess of a book.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I answer something that's in the chat?
oh
Like,
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course.
this kosher? Semi Paranoid mentions that in Finland, like books are dead and that like poems are dead. Check out Instagram. I haven't really dipped my toe into that, but I have a couple of friends who've told me that Instagram poetry is like that is the new place where kids are putting down their verses and stuff. So
Really, and are they saying it's good? It's good stuff. Like, is it? I mean,
well,
are there
it's
are
like
there?
anything on the internet, right? You've got just 90% bullshit and 10% like is going to be diamonds. So
Yeah, yeah, or yeah. That's what I mean. Is it? Are there? Because there is. It's really funny because there is this sort of like, or at least 20 years ago when I was writing. I was for about 6 seconds I was a poet. During all throughout high school, my junior year in high school, that's really where I first started writing. And it was funny because I was an actor at that point in time. But because it's acting is just an extension of role playing, right? So like there you go. It's like makes sense. So I was an actor. I was doing a Shakespeare play. I wanted to really kind of understand the language that he was using, so I started writing poetry to kind of look at I started writing verse with a Shakespearean kind of perspective, just trying to like wrap my head around kind of like, and then that went into, oh, this is kind of fun and interesting. When I went to Universal, I got an internship with them at 19. I started going to poetry slams, and I met sort of like the illiterati of the LA poetry scene, and it was crazy because all of these people they all had there were all these like little like poetry foundations that would publish little books of these little like 20-page chapbooks of their stuff, that would like.
I want to think that community must have been somewhere like really towing the line between awesome and absolutely insufferable.
Oh yeah, no, the thing is, yeah, it was the worst. It was the absolute worst. It was and the thing is like, and so, but it was great. So this guy by the name of William McLean, and he wrote a poem. He wrote it was a poem that was like it was featured somewhere, some show or something. And so he, for a little while, had a little bit of notoriety. And it basically, his poem was about, it was likening. He was when I met him, he was like 84 years old, 83 years old. And he wrote a poem that likened sex to like driving a car up a hill, and it's like it's basically him just talking about like shifting gears and kind of drive and feel the car purr, and but the thing is like and none of it's overtly sexual, but the thing is that but when you listen like the language of it, it's anyway, it's a really really cool poem, great poem. And so I'm figuring he's probably dead now. This was 20 years ago, but maybe not. He and so he turned me on to all of these people. He's like, I really like your stuff, and let me I went to one, like, this is like published poetry slam kind of thing, and hanging out with these guys, and
hanging out with the pros, because that's not intimidating at all.
And the thing is, it's so much of it was such piffle. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then this was at the advent of when people were reading things like it really mattered, like the poetry reading cadence that drives me nuts. Like just read your damn thing, oh, just drove me nuts. Anyway, sorry.
I went to a couple of poetry slams here in Montreal, and some French, some English, and I surprised myself by liking it because it wasn't too, like, none of these people were published. None of these people had aspirations. They were just there to have a place to speak their spoken word, their written word, and have a drink. So there was a sort of chill vibe to it that I enjoyed.
That's awesome.
But it definitely was not a community that I felt I could be a part of. These people wanted to discuss their slam poetry, and I will not do that because I don't my talent, for what it's worth, does not lean in that direction at all.
Yeah.
But it was fun to go to and listen to. But it feels like it was a different vibe from what you experienced.
Yeah, no, yeah. And there was, and I was for about a year. I did a lot of like poetry readings, and then a couple poetry slams. Anything I hate anything competitive, and I hate anything that's subjective and competitive. Like, the thing is, like, it's like if you want to race, like, yeah, the guy that crosses the line first, he's definitely the winner. But if you can't judge art from, you can't be like, yeah, this is the best, like, yeah, that shit drives me fucking nuts. So yeah, so
I couldn't agree more.
yeah.
It's weird because like there's often like there's award pushes like for Dragon Con or the Dragon Awards, and then there's Goodreads things, and like where I keep asking like my community like, hey, yeah, can you go vote for me? And they're all popularity contests. Like, as much as I'm happy that I got like nominations for Dragon Awards, I know full well that it's because I asked people to go vote for me,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily because my book is necessarily superior to those who didn't get nominated. And you and I, like before the show started, we talked that we're probably going to get into it about marketing, but these nominations are important for marketing. You need to be able to say, hey, award, Dragon Award nominated author Jeff Dubeau putting out a new book that has more clout than that guy. Putting out a book.
Yeah, the guy that has another book out. Yeah. No, and you're right. And the thing is, like, and that is so. Yeah. In fact. So yeah. In fact, we'll get to that in just a second. So when you decided, I want to try my hand at writing a book. Like that's the thing. That's the thing that I think that a lot of people don't realize is that like the first, and I'd love to hear. But the thing is, for me, like the thing, if you want to do something, you just start doing it. You don't need to ask people's permission. I mean, if you want to be a master sales like if you want to be a sailboat captain, maybe you need a boat. But the thing is if
there's certain career paths that you do need permission. Like if I want to be a horse surgeon,
yeah,
or
you can't.
I mean, I could sneak into barns and practice, but eventually I will be arrested.
Yeah, that's actually
for horse murder.
Yeah, that's actually the dual career path of butcher / horse surgeon. Depending on how quickly you learn.
It's really it depends on your learning curve, I guess. No, it's the thing is, this is where I'm kind of like an asshole in a lot of communities I'm part of, is there's a lot of people who don't want to be writers. Like if you ask like 9 out of 10 people, you go randomly like into a cafe or just down the street and you ask like 10 people, like, do you want to write a book? Do you want to be a writer? And they'll all say, like 9 out of 10 will say yes. They'll go, absolutely, I'd love to be a writer. Yeah. And that's true. They would love to be a writer. And you know what? I would love to be a musician, but to be a musician, I would need to, pick up an instrument and learn it. And I was listening to you on another show, on my friend Nate's show, Mind of a Geek. And you were talking about like you need to sit down and just practice a chord, I think you called it, or something. Yeah. I know nothing about music.
Yeah.
I'm intentional ignorance on that subject. So like you need to actually do something to practice, and that's how you play music. That's how you learn to play music. The same way, the way to be a writer is to write. Now, a lot of people want to be a writer, but without the writing portion, which is bizarre. It's like being an astronaut without going to space. I guess you could practice for it.
Yeah, no. Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's the thing. Like there's a lot of people, what they want people to love their stories, and they want to sign books, and they want to appear intellectual because they wrote a 300-page book that everybody loves and there's dragons in it or some shit. Like a lot of people want the result, but the difference is like the person who's going to be a musician loves the process of music. The person who is going to be a writer loves the process. Like I'm part of a lot of Facebook groups where it's just post after post after post of people bitching like, oh man, like I guess I should write. Oof, it's so painful. And they all exchange these memes about how like writing is pain and you bleed onto the page or some other Hemingway lies.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, if you're bleeding onto the page, stop. Just don't do it.
Yeah,
do something fun. No one needs your fucking book. There's 2 million books being published a year. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Without whatever you think you've got to contribute. Like we are good on orcs and elves fighting and whatever your life experience is with Kale. Just if you
Which
feel
is
that
which
writing,
if you eliminate those books, that's like 70% of the 2 million just gone.
there's a lot that just vanishes, doesn't it? But that's the thing. Like, if you don't like doing it, you're not gonna do enough of it that you're gonna become good. And if you're not good, spare us the results.
Yeah, well, and that's
So
that's funny. That's something that often I like the one thing that I keep telling people, I'm like, look, if you're gonna start doing anything, just know you're gonna suck for a long time. Just be like, all right, I'm gonna suck for 2 or 3 years, and maybe you only suck for 6 months, maybe you only suck for a month, but and maybe you suck for 5 years. But the thing is, like, your period of sucking is going to happen. You know, hold on, let me just change this a little bit. So you're how do I hold on? I just need to figure out how I'm gonna read.
you got it, Mike. I believe in you.
There we go. So your period of sucking is gonna be, is gonna happen. And so you have to, and the great thing is that once you acknowledge that, then that gives you license to just go and explore and have a good time and try things out and be like, oh, let me see if this works and let me try this out, because this is my period where I don't have to really like, I can focus on coming up with finding my voice and figuring out, like, do I like to do this and do I like to do that and is this fun? And so if you like, the thing is often a lot of my friends, at least a lot of my musician friends, my songwriting friends, they get really caught up in the fact that the lyrics are not 100% great, or I don't really like the bridge, or I think the chorus should be like, and then they just don't finish the song, and I'm like, dude, fucking, you can always go back, just complete the song, be like, this is a finished song, and then go back and change it. There you go.
It's yeah, no, absolutely. Like the way I started writing, like the first book I wrote, I did this I as a denizen of the internet, I stumbled onto this challenge called the National Novel Writing Month in November, NaNoWriMo, which a lot of people participate. And I figured, you know what? I've been thinking about writing a book. Like, I've had this in the back of my mind, like everybody else, that I want to write a book. So if I can make this challenge, maybe I have it in me to trudge and like suffer and bleed onto the page. So I started doing this challenge, and I decided in my infinite wisdom that everyone has a stupid vampire book in them. That I'm gonna write my stupid boring vampire book now, so I don't have to do it later.
Cool. That's that's great. That's smart. That's like, yeah.
But going back to what you're saying, like, if I'm gonna suck, I might as well suck as something that's gonna suck no matter what I do with it. Like, no matter how well I write my dumb vampire book, it's still gonna be a vampire book. So, might as well write it during that period when I'm not gonna be good. So I started a process, and halfway through, I said, "Oh, this is my crack. This is my drug. This is the shit I will sacrifice everything else to keep doing."
Amen. And for my and I can't say 100% for you, but the thing is, but I would assume that because you removed all the pressure off yourself, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna do it, like, and kind of get into it and kind of. But the thing is, because that's the great thing, is once you start making something, and you start getting into the intricacies, and you start falling in love with, like, all of the little details and all of the, like, because that's the thing, is like, the relationship you have with your characters, when you're first writing that book, you're the only person that knows those people live. You're the only person that knows these people exist. And so so it's kind of like every character that you come up with are like, they're clamoring for, like, dude, you got to take care. Like I'm here. You got to make sure the world knows I'm here. Don't forget.
It's like I own them, and there's nothing quite as exhilarating as owning people. Like, white Americans know this in a way that me as a Canadian will never truly understand. But no, that's not where you were going with this. I'm sorry. Did I take this to the wrong place?
Yeah, I think I just lost my Twitch.
Sorry, this was a history lesson.
Yeah. No, but
yeah, go on. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, like, there just is something about, like, and again, that might separate the, that might separate people that aren't compelled to, because that's the thing, is, like, for me, I've been compelled my entire life, even as a little kid, to just, I wanted to make up story. I wanted to make stuff. When I sat down at a piano for the very first time, and I was taking piano lessons, like the songs they wanted me to play were just way too complicated, and I didn't want to spend my time playing them over and over again. I wanted to figure out my own thing. I'm like, I can write a song that sounds totally fine for my ear, you know, and I'll just do it here. Like I don't need to play. I don't need to spend, you know, 20 hours learning this song. I can just do my own. There you go. Okay, I'm done. You know, so that's, you know, and it's sad because I've definitely had that impulse my whole life. And the thing is that like, and at some point in time, I like with everything I did, like, oh, I'm gonna, and at some point in time, I went, okay, I have to really start focusing. I have to narrow that whole thing down and start paying attention to, like, I can't, Renaissance, anybody that calls themselves, and I do have friends that are literally like Renaissance men. They're like, I ink a comic book, and I've got an amazing band, and I'm, you know, I'm also the DP on this like really amazing movie. Like, and fuck those guys. Those people have like, they have no souls or something. There's something seriously wrong with those people.
I want to kill them and wear their skin so I can absorb their talent through mine. Maybe this was also not something I should say on Twitch. Whatever. I think the boat has sailed on whether I'm a psychopath or not. No, look, I mean, there's one of the reasons I know that writing is maybe more for me than any other form of art is that I dabble also in illustration. And the thing is, like, oh God, I have a few friends that are just going to want to murder me when it comes to that, because I'm not a good illustrator. And so a lot of my friends, no, you're a good illustrator. It's like, thanks, guy. I really appreciate it. But you got to understand that I know where I'm at with my visual art enough to understand that I've reached my final plateau. I love drawing, but I don't love drawing enough. Like the very feeling that I accuse a lot of writers or would-be writers of having, where they want the book to appear magically in their hands and they don't want to go through the process. That is where I'm at with visual art. I like drawing for 45 minutes and then I get super bored with it and I want to do something else. And because of that, like, my progress is very slow. I don't want to experiment as much. I want the end result. I want what's in my brain to magically be printed onto paper. But that's not what illustration is. Like, I don't get into the process. I don't, like, part of me doesn't accept quite as well that during the illustration process, what I have in my mind and what's going to be on the paper is going to change as I sort of familiarize myself with the piece of art. And all of that, all of these things that I can't tolerate and limit me as an illustrator, I don't have those shackles when I'm writing.
Yeah.
That's part of how I know that I'm, like, I may not be a professional writer, I may not be a successful writer, but I'm always going to write stories. And as long as there's one person courageous enough to read my garbage, I will keep writing. And in fact, I think even if no one reads it, I'm still going to write it. In fact,
let me speak to that, because that I should have, and so because this whole show is completely brand new, I'm still kind of figuring out the format by which I want to do all this. But the thing is, like, but let me do say, I've only read A God in the Shed so far. Now, are there audiobooks of your stuff as well?
Yes, there are.
Okay, awesome, cool. Because I actually have an Audible. I'll get the Life Engineered. I'll pick that up today. But
the reader Amy Landon, who did the voice work for Life Engineered, did such an amazing job.
Awesome.
Great. Good pick.
Great, cool. Yeah, I'm excited because I don't have a lot of time for the only time I have to read. If like physically read is at night, and I usually make about 3 or 4 pages and then I pass out. So like I've been working on, I just finished a book I started about 4 months ago. You know, like it's literally like but I do have a lot of time. I do listen to a lot of books because when I take my dog on a walk, I basically take him on about a half-hour walk. In my workflow process, you know, like I get to a point on a song and I go, okay, ready to go for a walk. I think about that song, so I'll often listen to a book and just kind of allow my ears some time to kind of recharge, and then I come back and I can hear the song afresh. But
I'm in a similar boat. Like, just a couple of days ago, I doubled my Audible subscription so I'd have more credits, because I do some driving to work and I have a lot of menial tasks at work where I can listen to something. but I have very little time. And one of the problems I have, and I have this discussion with other people that read more than I do, those bastards. And my problem is any minute that I'm spending with a book in my hand reading, I could easily be writing or editing
That
during
that
that
and
time. So I have to
that's
force myself.
yeah, and that for me, like that's been my thing is every single time I've during the work week. So now what I've done is I've and this is something that I want to talk to you about because this is something I've found this past year. This since I got to Austin, I moved to Austin in 2013. And what I decided I was going to do is I decided, okay, I'm going to really unleash my like I've always written between 40 between like 30 and 40 songs a year, but I'm gonna just go full tilt and I'm gonna write a bunch of stuff and I'm just gonna like allow myself like and without having to ask my bandmates permission to learn the songs, without having to like it allowed me to just really double and sometimes quadruple my output, and so I had years where I put out 100, like I wrote and recorded and produced 100 studio based songs, that kind of stuff. So
That's insane. I can't wrap my mind around that.
yeah, I mean, well, but that's the thing is, but because for me, it's all about your like the way your basic your discipline, like so whether if you say I'm gonna write for half an hour every day and that's all the time commitment I can offer to this. The thing is that even if you write half an hour every day, and you only generate a half page a day, well, that's still 150 pages a year. So maybe you're not working, maybe you're working like so. Even if you're a state, even if you're a mom that that works, that works a 40-hour job and then takes care of 3 kids. If you can still carve out a half an hour a day, you can still make significant progress doing the thing you want to do, no matter what it is.
And that's the difference also, like going back to what I was saying, like that's the difference. Like a lot of people say, yeah, but like I'm tired and I don't. When you're really in love with an art form, it's not exhausting to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you maybe I'm wrong, like just correct me, like, but I look at some people like my friend Phil Root, who's an amazing illustrator. I look at my own routine when it comes to writing. Most of the people that I know who are really in love with their art form, that's what they do to relax. That's what they do to rest their brain after their stupid job and having to take care of a million stupid things during the day. They look forward to having that half hour to an hour of doing, like, playing music or writing or drawing, because that's their happy place. If you look at the end of the day and saying, oh man, like this was a tough day and like, oh, I gotta go home and I have to write,
Yeah.
screw that. Like, if that's your attitude towards it, maybe it's not for you. Maybe there's another
And no,
thing you
yeah.
could.
Yeah, no, and that's really funny because I often because my schedule now is so like like I often do. I get up first thing in the morning, start working on music, and go all the way till nighttime. And it's funny. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I don't really want to have to like live stream. Like I've got too much on my plate. But the thing is, literally the moment I turn it on, I'm like, hey guys, and I play like 2 or 3 songs. I'm like, what was I thinking? This is like my favorite thing on the planet Earth to do. So sometimes the intellectual, for me, the thought of something, is such, like, is a lot more. Like the thing is, yeah. For me, I love making music. It's a lot of fun. I love playing my songs. I love playing in front of people. I love writing music. I love recording music. Like every aspect of music is pretty much my favorite thing on the planet Earth to do. So so even if I feel overworked and even if I feel overwhelmed, often when I get into it and kind of like put my head down and start digging, like sinking my teeth into whatever it is I'm doing, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Of course, I love doing this. Why am I worried? And the thing is, I do. So we've been giving the chat just a little bit of shrift, but let's see what's happening. So I understand this for real now. I crave paint on paper. Blank pages beg me for color. Sounds dramatic when I say that out loud, but yeah, and that's and that's the thing is that like, yeah, if there is, like, if you are somebody that loves painting or drawing or and there's something, like, that's the thing for me, like there's something really, like, 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 brilliant about when you're in the process. Like you start off and you're like, and I'm certain it must be for painting. Like you must be like, I want to do this, and you sit down and you start sketching it out, and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually, oh, now I can do like and it's exactly what JF Dubeau was talking about. It's like it's if you fall in love with the process, and if the process is the thing that turns you on, then you're always then so long as you can actually do the thing you love, you'll always be generating, and you'll always, but the thing is like, there is for me, you have to learn to like, for my money, completion is a big thing. That's one thing that I see a lot of people lose sight of. You need to set benchmarks, and you need to be like, you need to reach a point where you're like, all right, the first draft is done. The first like this, I'm gonna write an album. I'm gonna paint this painting, and it will be done at this point in time. So that you build in yourself the discipline to like actually complete stuff, because I can't tell you, I have literally scores and scores and scores of amazing talented friends who do not have that ability, and so it takes them a year to do something that would take me 2 weeks, and that breaks my heart.
I see that a lot also in writing. Like I talked to earlier about like being all these writing Facebook groups, and one of the things that you often see is people, especially, I don't know what it is about fantasy authors, but they'll talk about like, oh, I've been writing this book for 10 years. Like, stop, leave it alone, like finish it and move on to the next book. Like you're at one point, like you stop just creating, and all you do is move the pieces of what you've already created around back and forth. You're no longer like, look at it like a puzzle. Like you've got all these pieces and you've got this illustration that you make, but then at some point all you've got is these puzzle pieces that you try to move around to try to create a new picture. But you're done. Just finish it and create something new. And it's I think it's this drive, this sort of lie that we tell ourselves very often, that I want to be a perfectionist because I was told that being a perfectionist means that you're somehow creatively superior to people who are not perfectionists.
Yeah.
So I want to be a perfectionist, and from my understanding what a perfectionist is, it means that I want what I do to be perfect, and so I'm going to overanalyze and keep working at it. But if you look at most of history's great perfectionists, they all finish shit. I mean, they're annoying, they're psychopathic about what they do. Some of them are dangerous, but they finish things.
Yeah.
And they finish them, they hate them, and they move on to the next thing, but they finish their shit. And I think that's the thing. Like, you want your thing to be perfect, but you misunderstand what perfect is and how to get there. And the best way to get to perfect isn't to keep shuffling the same puzzle pieces around, is to finish that one puzzle and then do a new one that's more complicated and do it better, and then not be happy with that one either, and then do another.
And in fact, I think that's the key thing. Like, it's funny because I will tell people, I'll be like, someone will be like, I really want to learn to write songs. I'm like, okay, what you do? Write 100 songs, but write 100 songs. Like for the next 3 months, write a song every day. But just know they're gonna suck, and don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Just fart out a verse, fart out a chorus. Just be like, blah blah. Here you go. But the thing is, but have fun with them. Have fun with them and make them silly, and don't worry about the lyrics. Just have a lot of fun writing these songs, and just be silly and make them ridiculous, and then be like, yeah, this is my aardvark song. ASV, like, but because when you do that, so and know that you just need to write 100 songs. Like, the idea is that by the time you're done, like, if you were to do that, even if you were just use the same exact chords every single time, just use the same fucking chords, use the same fucking melody, who cares? The thing is that, like, what happens is at the end of that 100 days, you're like, I've got 100 songs. I am now officially a songwriter. I have 100 songs. I know lots of songwriters that do not have 100 songs. I know a lot of amazing songwriters that do not have 100 songs. And I guarantee you, within those 100 songs, there's going to be a handful of gems. There's going to be some things that when you play, people are going to be like, dude, that's really, really cool. Play that one again. When you show up
by law of average, right?
Yeah. And,
you toss the dice enough time, you're gonna get double six a couple of times.
yes, and the thing is like, and so but the idea is if you do that, it's just that you get you get the ball rolling, you get your mind thinking about it, you start figuring out, well, how do I shape a song, and how do I, and that's the same thing with, as far as I know. I mean, the only two things I've done professionally are writing and music, but the thing is like the mindset did not change at all for me in terms of the making stuff. Well, I don't have to juggle as many parts writing a song as I did with actually writing long form, or writing, like writing you can only put so many characters in a song, in a 3.5 minute song, But
have you thought of doing a rock opera instead?
It's really funny. I actually have my viola player Eric and I. We actually broke out. We actually broke out all the beats of a rock opera that is also it's an allegory. It's basically an allegory of sort of like the struggling artist, and basically it all takes place in the mind of like a guy that is like he's a paraplegic. He's he's one of those like they can't tell if he's a vegetable or not, and so his entire life and all of this, like he's got these relationships with all these people around him that kind of are his caretakers. Anyway, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but but yeah, but we had the whole thing framed out, and we were talking about the individual songs, and I'm like, nah, that's not my thing. I'm not gonna do that.
But going back to what you were saying, like one of the things that kind of flashed to me is the idea of doing like the 100 songs and finishing things. One the arguments I have in favor of doing this, it's always been very important to me, is and this ties back to this ridiculous idea of perfectionism that people seem to have, is how like people, like a lot of these people that say, oh no, I'm a perfectionist, so I want to keep working, and I want to keep like resculpting this. I keep hitting my mic, sorry. Like I want to keep resculpting this one sculpture over and over again, and just playing with the clay, and I want it to be perfect. But one of the things that, and I keep telling that to some fellow writers, and not that I'm necessarily an expert, but I overthink a lot of things. The problem is your first book, or your first, assume your first song, your first any artistic project that you finish is probably going to be your worst. Like as much as I love The Life Engineered, that's my first book I published. I think it's fun. It's got fun characters, and I enjoy it a lot. It will be my worst book, because if it's not, it means I'm not learning between books. Yeah, and that's worse than. That's probably the worst outcome. Like if I'm, publishing books that are not better than previous ones, what am I doing?
Yeah, well, in fact, that's really funny. I often have a lot of sympathy for people that sort of like hit it out of the park their first go round, because the thing is that now they're always going to live in the shadow. Like the thing is that they didn't get a chance to build up to their masterwork. They didn't get a chance to like something like Ernest Cline with Ready Player One. Like the thing is like, here you go. Here's a book, and now it's a fucking ridiculous hit. And now this is the yardstick by which everything else I do will be measured. And the thing is, and it sucks because the thing is that for my money, like you need to like if you really love an artist, if you really love the perspective of someone, you need to give him you need to like give him enough room to like kind of like if you love their mind when they were doing this one thing, fall in love with their mind as they're doing the other things, because what they're doing right now may not be 100% what's going to turn you on, but this is them figuring out, the thing is just is that all of us need room to kind of explore, and to start, like the thing is I even looking back at my oeuvre, like there's certainly stuff that like that when I listen to it makes me cringe, but I know it was part of me becoming who I am as a musician, and so I'm like, all right, it's just part of my history. There you go. That's it.
No, absolutely. Like I reread, like one of the things that I try to avoid as much as possible is rereading my previous work. Like when the audiobook for Life Engineered and the audiobook for Guy in the Shed came out, I listened to them mostly because I was curious how the voice actors did, and I was pleasantly surprised both times. But then you have someone else rereading to you sentences and paragraphs that you go, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Um, so there's definitely like, especially when you write like a full book, it's almost impossible. There's not portions that are going to make you cringe. Like I read books from absolute masters, and sometimes there's a passage I go, I bet he wishes he hadn't written it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to my own things, like definitely like I get that same feeling. I'm curious about something from your point of view, since I mean you've written and you produce music, and I'm starting to encounter what I would probably call the equivalent of studio interference.
Oh.
Basically, how much do you how much have you been confronted with outside input into your creative
That's yeah.
process?
That was so working in film and TV. Like that was just de rigueur. That was basically the way things happened, you know. And the thing is that like, and it was infuriating because literally, this actually happened. I'm not going to talk about who it was. CBS. I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk the name of the executive, Judy Price. She was, it was something about like it was like a talking, it was like the notes were so ridiculous that we're like, what the fuck, how are we going to make this work? And so we sit down and we round table it and we're like, you know what, I mean, and we figure out and we take this ridiculous note, this totally crazy ridiculous note, and we figure out a way to make it work within the universe that we've created. And we're like, all right, and we fall in love with this idea. And we're like, all right, well, actually, this is a pretty cool. I mean, we figured out a totally clever and unique way to do this, you know, and then of course, maybe 3 weeks later, as we've built this whole thing and we're starting developing story there, and then she comes back and goes, actually, you know what? Can we remove that? Can we get rid of that? You know, like, are you
Yeah,
fucking kidding me?
I've gone through this kind of thing with editing. It's like that's one of the things that I'm actually like. I've been complimented by my publisher that I handle notes from editors fairly well, and the editor for Life Engineered was fantastic. Like he read the book, he got what I was trying to do, and
Yeah.
like all his notes, like he had notes, like he called me out saying, hey, like you're using the word instinctively everywhere. And I was rereading as I said, yeah, you're right, like this is definitely my go-to. And he had a bunch of notes that absolutely made sense, but even though like he was telling me to change things, every time he told me to change something, I would completely agree because he understood.
Yeah.
For God in the Shed, it was a different perspective because I was working with a first-time editor, and I really did not have a feeling that like he was a creative guy, a very talented guy, but definitely starting to just get a feel for what it meant to edit. And by that ticket, a lot of his notes were weird. They were incoherent to the themes of the story. But one of the things that I've learned very quickly, being because I'm by trade I'm a graphic designer, and my job right now is marketing director. So I've dealt with criticism my entire life. My entire professional career is going to clients and having them immediately hate what I do.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, they'll go, "Oh no, that's not what I had in mind."
Yeah.
And the one of the things I very quickly learned that made me a semi-competent graphic designer and artistic director in my time is the ability to view criticism and notes not as a monologue, not as a set of orders that come on from on high, but as the opening salvo in a dialogue. So basically having people say, yeah, this scene, it doesn't make sense and I don't like it. I see a lot of other writers going through their editorial process and going, well, he's a fucking lunatic for not understanding this, and I think they should fire him and I should get a new editor. It's like, no, calm down. Just ask why he doesn't think it works, and don't use the initial note. Use the answer to why he thinks that. And like, cause sometimes they'll be like, oh, remove this scene. Well, why do you want to remove this scene? I like this scene. Well, then they'll give you a reason, and then either the reason makes sense and you agree, it doesn't make sense and you disagree, or you understand the reason, what the reason is, but you can offer an alternative that allows both of you to be happy.
Yeah.
what I'm confronted right now is that I'm getting notes that are less about the book itself and more like I'll give you an example. Like something, maybe I'm being a bit too inside baseball, but one of the things I'm encountering is we're looking at reprinting the first book for A God in the Shed, and now
Cool.
I'm getting notes
Congrats.
kind of post mortem, like, oh, before we reprint, like we have some
We want to do
additional
some
notes,
edits.
but no, we're done.
Yeah.
I'm finished. Like I
You don't
want to
want
move on.
you don't want a different you want different editions. Like, oh yeah, I don't. That's ridiculous. That's
Well, that's why I'm asking the question, because for all I know, it's just a bunch of typos they want to correct, or just I know of a few errors.
yeah.
There's a financial that my brother brought this up to my attention in A God in the Shed. There's a financial transaction. There's not many in the book, so people can easily find it if they know the book enough, which is weird if you do, because I'm not Stephen King. But there's a financial transaction in the book that my brother pointed out that doesn't make sense. What happens there, like the amount asked by the cashier and the amount given by the customer, and he says keep the change, makes absolutely no sense. I looked at it, it's like you're right, like none of those denominations would function, and
You know what?
it's
I
bizarre.
did read that book, and I do not remember that. So yeah, so it definitely flew under my radar. But oh yeah, and in fact that was one thing that I was going to say that I didn't actually get a chance to say. So if you guys don't know J.F. Dubeau, if you don't know, so I've only had a chance to read his book God in the Shed. It is
I'm told it's a good one.
it's amazing. It is a lot of fun. It basically it's for me it has a little bit of like an H.P. Lovecraftian kind of tenor and flavor to it. In the sense that there is there's mystery that people are exploring, and the more you kind of dig into it, the more like what the fuck is like this is some fucked up crazy shit, all H.P. Lovecraft, like that's. But it also has a fantastical element that I would liken to somebody like a Neil Gaiman, where it is.
High praise.
What's that? Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So the thing is, yeah, I really loved it, man. It was a really, really good book, and there's one chapter in particular that lives with me forever. Like the thing is that the one with the boy. I told you about it. I mentioned it. The one I don't want to give anything away, but it's the dismantling chapter.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that rocked my world. That literally like that rocked my world. Just like that's particularly the way that it, like the fact that he was sort of removed from the process. He's sort of there watching it and is not like just awesome. Just really like just absolutely. And it's great. It's funny because that could only be done as in a long form novel, or in story form. Like you couldn't do that in film and have that translate as beautifully, because you needed to be inside his head.
You say that, and I don't know how, but I would love for a director to prove you wrong.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, me too, me too.
It's the kind of thing that you go, they can't do that, but if they did,
you're totally right. You're totally right. And the thing is, yeah, and yeah, or for my limited estimation, like for my limited understanding of what is possible with film, even though I worked in the business for 15 years, but it just definitely seems like that was what made it so amazing was that you were in his head while this was going on. It's just all I'm saying is, guys, if you should definitely check his stuff out. I'm gonna be picking up the Life Engineered today, and so I will give that a spin, and then I will get back to you guys as well and let you know. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a published novelist, Lisa, and he's got 2 books out right now. Is that correct? And then you've got a third one in the offing.
Okay, so what I've got right now going on, to sum it up, is I've got 2 published books. I've got The Life Engineered, which is my first novel, which is very kind of optimistic sci-fi far future thing with robots, and I've got The God in the Shed, which is complete opposite, which is this kind of very dark sort of neo-gothic Lovecraftian horror story. Right now in the works, the sequel to A Guy in the Shed is slated for release, I believe, October 9th of this year.
Awesome.
Which is great. It's awesome. The same cover designer is going to do the cover for that one too. I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to it. I should probably give the manuscript to my publisher.
Yeah, I
And
I think that is a prerequisite, isn't it, for something to be published?
oh, they hate publishing without manuscripts. It's really hard. Lots of blank pages. The and I've got the manuscript also done for the sequel. Well, it's not really a sequel. Like it's sort of in the same universe, but still a standalone novel is in the same universe as Life Engineered. So again, it's kind of a more positive spin book. But that's currently being crowdfunded on Inkshares. So I need all the pre-orders I can get, guys.
Oh,
Help
really?
me. Yeah, no, I'm not doing good.
What's the? Do you want to put the link in the chat?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Awesome.
I hope I'm allowed to do links.
And then yeah, you are. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, you know, just so it's www.inkshares.com/arcandroid, and that's ARCH-ANDROID. So that's inkshares.com/arcandroid. Yeah, so let's all go. Let's all go.
I'm actually super happy with
can
our
we? How many books can we pre-order?
You can
300
order
or
a lot,
400?
but it's kind of expensive. I need like, I don't know, another 200, another 400 books pre-ordered. Like I'm really behind on that because I'm not. See, my job is marketing director, but I'm really bad at self-promotion.
Yeah.
Like, give me a good product that I believe in, and I will sell the fuck out of it.
But your own stuff.
My own stuff, I'm so insecure, and I have such a terrible self-image that going up to people and going, "Hey, yeah, you should spend money on something I made," I have immense difficulty doing that. This is why I'm so happy to have friends that will champion me and vouch for me, because without them, I would be useless. I wouldn't be able to do any of this.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I have some friends that are very good at sort of the self-aggrandizing kind of like, yeah, we're fucking, I'm the tits, and you should buy all my stuff, you know, and they do really well, you know, and I'm like, and I look at that and I'm like, I should just do that, but I can't. And the thing is like, and that's so yeah, and that's. But that's let's get to that in about 10 minutes. But right now, so the thing is, yeah, with the notes stuff.
Yeah.
Like that the thing is like that is why I spent the first portion of my entire adult life working in film and TV and taking notes from people that I knew. Like the thing is like people would give notes just to put their own mark on the thing you're working on, right? So and that fucking drove me nuts. Because,
sorry to cut you off, but that's something in graphic design that happens all the time. Like the client is paying you money, they want to feel like they're part of the process, but they're dumb, so they probably shouldn't. But
yes.
You need to allow them to feel like they did.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
No. Yeah. That's in fact that's so what we used to do. What we used to do to mitigate that is we would just give them two options. We'd be like, hey, what do you? So rather than like, you know, be like, and so once we kind of like, we'd be like, so we really not 100% certain. Do you think this one like we really like this one? And like we'd have like the shitty version, and then we'd have the good version, and then we'd talk about the shitty version. We'd give it as much thought as the good version, and then we'd be like, and so that way when they said, I really like the good version, like that's the one, like then we'd be like, oh, man, that's fucking so insightful. You're just. Wow, you're a genius. Oh, and that way, it's like doing the magician's forced push thing, you know.
Oh, one of the things I learned to do with some of the clients I know is I would give them like once I had a good understanding of what one of my clients would like in graphic design, I would. Like as a rule, whenever I would work on something, I would do like 3 concepts and have them like sort of pick elements from each and sort of like tell me what they like, what they don't like. But once I got into a good relationship with the customer and I understood what their likes and dislikes were, I would just make one I knew they would like, do 2 red herrings, just garbage, and say, which one's your favorite? Oh, well, this one, I really like the colors. Oh, you don't say. All right.
Yeah.
Anything you would like to change? Well, I'd change this. Of course you would.
Yeah.
Like I would design things specifically so that they would have like I would put a font that I knew they didn't like, so they'd say, "Oh, could you change the font? Oh, you're right. You're such a genius, Mr. Client. Of course I'll change your font."
Yeah, and you know, and the thing is, and it's so funny because that's exactly the way, like, and it works. I mean, that God, man, that's so it's you know, and it's sad because because if people were able to just be pragmatic, you know, if you could just talk to me like, look, this is what I've been doing, like this is like if you could just say, so would you rather just me just kind of run with this, like you give me what you, you know, like, and you would think that you would think that any rational human being would be like, yeah, let's remove this like this whole like me hand holding process and just let you get it done, you know. But no, the hand
I've
holding.
I've I've had this discussion with one of my bosses. Like one of the jobs I had held for the longest time, I was working for a headwear company as their graphic designer, marketing director, and I would go to my boss and propose concepts for thing, and he would double like he would question and double guess whatever I would put in front of him. At some point, I just freaking lost my patience. I went to see him. I said, "Look." The guy's name was Alistair. I said, "Look, Alistair, you do not like wasting money. I know this about you, but every time you don't let me do my job, like every time you question what I do, you're wasting money because you don't know. Like you like the color blue and you're asking me to do something dynamic. Blue is a soothing color. We're not like it doesn't like you're hired me specifically to be your expert in that one field. If you want to waste your time, and your time is worth more money than mine, quite unfortunately, if you want to waste your time doing my job but still pay my salary, you're wasting money, which I know you don't like. So what's it going to be? Do you want to get full value from my work and let me do my job, or should I just freaking quit at this point? It's this thing where they don't understand that they're paying you to be the experts. They're not paying you just to confirm their own biases. They're
Yeah,
paying you to replace them.
yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah,
people are
yeah.
just not good at delegating, I guess.
Yeah, and that, you know, and that is, you know, like you know, and again, I get it. I mean, but that was and the thing is, so I get that. So I understand like your impulse to want to put your imprint on stuff, particularly if you're the purse string holder, you know. But the thing is that like, but man, it any person, any decision maker with the ability to fucking curb that is like they're miracle workers, you know, like just be like you know like. But the thing is it so? But so I spent so we got our record deal when I was 20. So I spent a full decade. I spent a full decade working in the film and TV business. We were talking to 3 different record labels at the same time about signing our first deal. And our record and the record label we went with, they did this. Like this was literally the meeting. Like we go into the meeting. We've already had a couple conversations with them. We go into the meeting. They put down a check. And they say and they lay down a contract. And they're like, we want to give you this check. We want to sign you for this number of records. And we are willing to give you complete creative control on the album. And I'm like, so I went to the bandmates and I'm like, this is the one we're going with, guys. We have to. So. Yeah, because the thing is, yeah, because that is like, you know, and it's funny because the record label when I Hate Everyone, when that song we sent them the album, they wanted to pull I Hate Everyone off the record. They thought it was way too dark, you know, and they thought it was way too negative. And
I love
I'm
that
like,
song. It's like one of my favorites.
and I was like, Tom, you've never felt like this. You've never been. And he was like, and literally he looked at me. He's like, no. He was like shocked that I would even like no like, and I realized oh yeah, no, that makes sense because he's like a wealthy white guy that's kind of led a privileged his his whole, you know, like, I mean, not to cast aspersions at all, but the thing is like, but yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like if your struggle has only been within this narrow band, I can see why you might not want to hate everybody, but everybody else, you know, everybody else on the planet Earth, you know.
No, I absolutely get it. I mean, listen, like there's levels of privileges. Like someone who's richer and more comfortable, more well off and prettier than I am doesn't understand the frustrations I live with. Like there's movies that I will listen to where the pretty people win and this doesn't, and I look at that and I feel this movie does, like, the message in this movie kind of frustrates me, and they won't get it and I will. At the same time, as a fully heterosexual white middle class dude,
Yeah.
there is a lot of rap music that, although the rhythms and the rhymes may be cool, the message flies over my head by a mile, and I could pretend to be down with the homies. I am not. I have not. Like, I don't get it. I get it. Like, I can get it on a theoretical basis. And that's
I can go to
sweet.
school and study it to get it.
I know. Like, it's sweet. It's cute that I understand the plight of people who are literally underprivileged compared to me. But no, I don't. So yeah, no, I completely understand what you mean. Like, it's not that the guy is evil for having been privileged enough that he didn't want to take a flamethrower to an entire subway station.
Yeah.
But the rest of us have been there.
Yeah.
It doesn't like, and it's just like he's been fortunate enough, and I mean, it would be great if we all were fortunate enough to never go to that darker place. But it's fun to have a song that reminds us that we're not alone in wanting to bomb things once.
Yeah, you know, yeah, and it's funny. So they
just
would
don't bomb things, people.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. Just listen to the song and don't bomb.
Have the cathartic experience, but don't kill.
Yeah. Or don't even maim. Just no explosives. No explosives. Invective is fine though. Invect away. So yeah, so I definitely do live very much. I hate notes. Even I hate notes. The thing is, no, that's not so. I hate notes from people that I feel do not care and have not spent as much time and thought on this thing as I have. So if I run across somebody that that has put in a lot of time on a project I'm working on, and they are equally as passionate and they're able to convey that just by basic conversation, awesome. I'm willing to, like, you and I, we can talk about it, we can figure it out, and we can strategize and collaborate, and that's awesome. But the, you know, but you know, if you're a dilettante, if you give my stuff, you know, 15 minutes of shrift and then decide like that you want to make an imprint on it, I just want to smash your face in the ground with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I'm super diplomatic when it comes to notes. Like, one of the notes I got for God in the Shed is like in the epilogue, someone like I hate it because I feel like I'm throwing my editor under the bus, and I shouldn't, because he did in the end do a good job, but sometimes he had some very weird questions and some very weird notes. And one of the notes he gave me, and I don't know how much you remember about the epilogue, but the epilogue it's kind of like this dark, very mourning scene, and he's basically asking, shouldn't you have X character like mention how she might have a thing for this other character? There's nothing in the book about there being any kind of relationship like that. This is some young adult novel bullshit that doesn't need to be in there. And last point, the most important, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So
he's projecting relationships that aren't there, and then he's like, shouldn't we talk about this relationship that is you had no intention to actually put in?
The thing is, like, from a very like marketing standpoint, I see where he's coming from. It's like, oh, I guess like it's because you, like, some of my characters are young, like they're teenagers, so you see that this should maybe have a young adult twist, but no, I don't want to. So in the way you're injecting it is completely artificial. So well, like, I see where he's coming from. I just aggressively disagree with it.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing is, like, and that's and for my money, like that's the thing is like, so well, it's funny. So this is one I was another thing I was gonna talk about in regards to the in regards to the way that like if you know the person that's coming back and giving you feedback is actually your audience. Like, if they actively like the stuff that you do, and they're like, man, I really like, then for me that their comments, I heavily weight. Like I weight people's reactions to my music based on, like, so if I know somebody's a big fan of Get Set Go, but they've only listened to the first 4 records, and then they show up and say, oh, I'm not a big fan of like record 9. Well, the thing is like that used to fucking destroy me, but now I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's because your taste in my music is calcified around the first 4 records. So that makes perfect sense. You're not looking at it through the lens of like, hey, you've remained fresh and along with me for the ride. You have this nostalgia thing. And so I totally get it. I appreciate it.
You're missing the connective tissue from 4 to 9. Like you're missing that bridge.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And so the things, I can appreciate your perspective, but it's not going to destroy me the way and the thing is because there are people that have been with me every step of the way, you know, and every now and again I'll be like, what do you think about this? And they'll be like, oh, you know, it's all right. And those, and like, thank God there's not that many, because when they go, oh yeah, it's all right. I'm like, I'm gonna go shoot myself, please. I'll be back. Yeah. Activate clone 2.
No, I get that. Like, activate clone 2. I need I live in a basement, but I feel like I do need some clone vats.
Yeah.
Oh shit! If I had the money, I would. So there's a long list of eccentric rich guy bullshit I would love to do, and if I was like, you know, superstar money, multi-millionaire type guy, having a couple of fake vats with like full body casts of myself just floating in the back, and just have it like nondescript, like behind a curtain, so that anybody who's curious and peeks will see this.
No, yeah. In fact,
what is that?
In fact, no. This is what you do. You have 6 of them. 3 or 4 are empty, and then you've got 2. You know, and then the ones that are remaining are like number 4, number 5. You know, it's so you're like so you're not even the original.
If you really want to go deep, is like you have like somewhere on a wrist have like the number of the latest empty vat tattooed on your wrist. Just drive it in. Oh man, if I was rich, I'd have so much fun. Anyways.
Yeah. So
I'll never get there. So.
Yeah. But and then you know, and I think that does allow us to kind of like segue easily into the so the thing is, so for me, like one of my biggest hangups with you know, like it's funny because when I was a kid, you know, and I was acting, I was like, yeah, I love acting. I love digging deep into a character. I love kind of looking through the world. I mean, that's kind of what you do when you write, right? You're looking at the world through the eyes of someone else. You're looking at like, well, how is this person going to be dealing with these situations? What's, you know, like, and so you kind of have to get to know them. You have to know them inside and out. You have to, you know, and so I really love that as an actor. But then when I realized that I'd have to go up and I'd have to perform in front of people that A, did not know me, B, only had about 30 seconds for me. And the thing is, like, I'm like, fuck that noise. Like, there's no way I'm going to go fucking audition. Like, and that really was, and that ruined it for me. And so, you know, getting into music, it's funny, like I literally, like everything I've done has been, throughout my entire creative life, has been to just insulate me from dealing with that kind of like the shallow rejection of disinterest and diffidence, you know, like, you know, and
there's nothing worse than indifference. Like
yeah,
the 3-star review, it was alright.
Yes, and the thing is, and the funny thing is that when you dig into those reviews, you see that, oh, they did not even pay attention. They didn't give this thing fucking any shrift. They're like those kinds of like, oh, I just want to fucking smash them in the face.
No,
but I don't.
Listen to it again and listen to it properly this time.
Yeah. That's exactly it. The thing is, give it more than 30 seconds of spin. Like I'm gonna listen to the first 20 seconds. I don't like this song, and I'm like listen.
I hate
listen to the whole fucking record, dude.
I very often am that guy where I'll listen to like the first few seconds of a song, and then if I like it, see, this is where I'm kind of a guy of extremes. Like, I listen to like a few seconds of a song, and if I like it, then I listen to it on repeat for 4 days straight and just analyze every detail. Like, not analyze it because I'm not smart enough and I don't know music enough, but I'll just appreciate every layer of it.
Yeah.
But I'm also the same. I'm also the same asshole that, like, if there's anything that doesn't grab me immediately, like, I'll go, maybe I'll listen to it again later. Especially if it's from an artist I like, I'll go back. And it's happened a lot of times where I'll go back to a song I dismiss and then I'll love it. But I do need kind of like that hook because I'm a shallow monster.
Well, it's funny. The thing is, like, so that's often why I try to when I write lyrics, I try to make sure that the opening line it has some significant like what the fuck did he just say? Just because I know I've only got their attention for this brief period of time, so I'm like okay, so I'm gonna first grab them with this, and then I'm gonna. But the thing is, or at least that's the way I used to write. I don't do that. I don't do that so much anymore because I realized that I was chasing the wrong kind of fan. The thing is I realized that once I identified who my market was, once I realized that basically the people that like my band, they're gonna be bright, they're gonna be misfits, they're gonna probably have some emotional trauma, and and the thing is that and they're gonna probably be profane, and so if I just yeah I know yeah.
Unacceptable. I actually, sorry to cut you off. This is where I want to get as a writer. So far I've been super lucky that a lot of the readers that I've managed to accumulate, because I write weird things. Like my first book has no human beings. It's all robots, like wall to wall robots with weird things, and one of them brain damage. There's a lot of dumb things going on. My second book, like God in the Shed, has received a really positive blurb from a young adult magazine, and at the same time, like Crypt TV loved it. Like it's a weird book. I like writing weird books, but I'm still writing weird books in a way. Like I still try to package them, and the way I work with the editors, we still try to package them so that they at least have like the proper hooks at the right moments to draw the normies in.
Yeah.
And I'm craving the day when I get to a point where I have enough of an audience, enough of a readership that know and appreciate the weird parts of what I write,
that you can write.
I can just like stop having these more approachable angles. Like probably keep some of them just because like they still make it like just still keep it a readable narrative. Like I don't want to go like full Bertolt Brecht on it, but you got that reference? Awesome. Yeah, see, it's an actor, of course. I don't want to go absolute complete absurdist, and I still want but I want to be able to write something that just really is weird shit and have my audience be, yes, this is JF, we're on board. We know that if he starts with something fucked up, he's going somewhere with it. And I can't wait, and I hope that one day I get to the point where I have this kind of a large enough audience that trusts my storytelling style enough that I can get away with doing that kind of thing, and then just flipping off editors on the way to the bank.
Well, in fact, in fact, that's a question I have for you. Like, do you have an idea of how many books you need to so do you have an idea? Have you? And this is something that I haven't even done yet, really. That's not so. Well, sort of, but. How many? I mean, do you have an idea of how many books you would need to sell? How many books you need to put out each year or every couple years? Like have you figured out like, well, these are the numbers I need to achieve so that I can walk away from my day job and just pursue writing full tilt?
I thought I did, and then I was proven wrong by circumstances. Like when I first published Life Engineered, I self-published it, and I had a very clear idea of exactly the numbers. Like I need to sell that many books at that ridiculously low price every day to be able to actually make a living wage. Like not necessarily comfortable, but at least enough that I can quit my job, and then like maybe like ramp it up to more than 1 or 2 books a year, and build my audience from there. So that but at that point, like the entire industry, as far as I was concerned, was just books, just self-publishing and selling books mostly on Kindle. So that was the beginning and the end, the alpha of the omega of book selling, as far as I was concerned. And then I sold my first book. Didn't sell it, but like I published my first book, Life Engineered, and that got some attention. It got some good critical reviews, and then I got in the Shed, which is selling at easily more than twice as good as Life Engineered.
Awesome.
And then I thought, okay, well, we're starting to see numbers, and I can sit down and like crunch what I need to do, like how much I need to sell every year, and how do I keep these numbers up by like having regular releases. And then a guy in the shed got an option for television. And then
Yeah,
Blackstone
awesome.
Audio bought the audiobook rights for Life Engineered, and Audible bought the audiobook rights for God in the Shed.
Awesome.
And all of these things like started happening, and I mean, it's all good, it's all great, but it fucks up my numbers because now I've
Because
got these I've
because
got
you
these
deal with.
variables.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like now somebody's injecting new variables into
Wait, are you talking
into my
about
math.
new revenue streams, or is it just different numbers than you were anticipating?
It's new revenue streams.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah,
And
but that's always good,
they're
man.
not streams. They're random hits of numbers that I don't know what they're gonna be, and I don't. It went from this, like, if I sell 100 books every week, then I make this amount of money, and I can average it out over a year. So like very simple math, to this thing where it's like, well, I've got this very simple math, but then like someone tosses in an extra $5,000 here and there. It's like, oh well, then like with this $5,000, maybe I can quit the job earlier. But then if the next year I don't make that $5,000,
That is exactly was my whole ups and downs with the music licensing stuff, was because, and they were significant, like network television pays significant license fees for, so so I would license 3 or 4 songs in a year and do really really well that year, and then the next the next year I would license 1 song, and it was still good. It was still enough for me to like barely survive on, but the thing is that like, yeah. So it's really funny. So in 2010, I was like, I have to figure out a way to generate revenue that is not built around me licensing songs, because it's so mercurial, and really I like, and I've never, and I don't even know how I licensed those songs. I mean, the thing is, those people found me. I don't have anybody. I've never had anybody actively representing my music to the film and TV world. So. Well, I'm still, and that's still for me an always evolving process. Like it's literally like I'm like, this might be a good revenue stream. Let me put some time and see if I can get and I'm just trying to get all of the little things that trickle in to just slowly but surely increase. But
yeah, it's something I've started to realize, is that the idea, like, I guess that's the crux of the problem, is where I wanted it to just be, I write a book, I put it out, it brings in this average amount of money, and then I put out another book, and et cetera, et cetera. It became this sort of multi-dimensional thing where I have to say, all right, I put out a book and I need this minimum baseline, but then I need to also have these other input streams, like these other revenue streams, like one of the things I would love to do is, and this it's kind of weird, I would love to be able to have some kind of Patreon thing going, not necessarily like make immense, night attack amounts of money from it, but mostly like just have this extra stable thing where I can say that I'm going to get between X and Y amount of money each month, because every week I write a chapter of a story that I put on Patreon.
And you know what, and I'm fairly certain that you would definitely have people that would be interested in seeing the process by which a book, like, because particularly if you start with like, hey, I've got an idea for a book, and this is I've written a treatment. This is basically the idea of this book, and so people go, oh, I'm totally on board with this idea, and then they see that process develop, and they see the edit. The thing is, like, I'm certain that there's people that are not writers that would love to see, just get an inside look at that whole at that process. So, hey, right on, Knife by a Kangaroo. How you doing, man? Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely, and it is, it's crazy, like that, and that really is the I think the future of making it as someone who creates stuff is now. It's not like you can't just put out a record. I mean, some people put out but for the most part, you have to if it, like every person I know that makes stuff right now does it with multiple revenue streams sort of in place, And
Yeah,
so
you've got a bit of merch, you've got a Patreon, like you do Twitch, which I considered for a few moments. Man, I wonder if I could do Twitch as a writer, like because I see musicians definitely do it. Like I listen to your stream, I listen to Chris Cage's stream, Seth Drums TV, and a few others. Like once in a while, I need to have music, and I'll just listen to that. And then you have illustrators that they'll draw while they're on camera and show their process. And I went, well, what exactly would it be for a writer? And the only thing I could come up with is just basically people watching me drink and type, and essentially it would just turn on this kind of live suicide watch.
well,
Just people they come into my stream and they just make sure I'm not hanging myself at that precise moment in time.
I guess the thing is that like you could actually do sort of story development stuff, right? And you could actually do so you could say like you could even like as you're breaking out the beats of a story, you could be like, hey, so these are these characters. I mean, the thing is like I could definitely like because I spent a lot of time kind of contemplating like how, there definitely are things I see you could do on Twitch that would, but the thing is, my fear would be it becomes like people want to collaborate at that point in time when you're talking about, and the thing is like, and the one thing you don't want is like a bunch of people like fucking with your story, you're like, no, this is my story, damn it, But,
yeah, I've worked on collaborations, and there's definitely a different mindset when I'm working on a story myself and when I'm collaborating with someone. When I'm collaborating with someone, like I want input, it's mostly a lot of me asking questions. When I want to do my own things, like, oh, you have a suggestion? Yeah, how about you stick it up your ass and shut up? It's like it's a different creative approach.
Yeah,
as you can see.
Yeah.
That being said, like there's a couple of things like I could do Twitch. Like I know.
Hold on, real quick.
Go on.
So your the feed we're getting from you is just degenerated pretty. So your sound and as well as your videos is pretty pixelated. Has something changed? And are you uploading a multiple gigabyte file to YouTube right now? Or
I'm doing no such thing. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna quit any other processes that could be going on. Hopefully it resolves itself.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is coming from at all. So
no worries.
Hopefully it fixes itself. Maybe it's just Twitch, not Twitch, but maybe it's just Skype, which I almost turned off by mistake.
Oh yeah. Don't turn. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if you did, we'd just call you back, but.
But that would have been spectacularly stupid.
Yeah.
Hopefully it solves something. I apologize.
So what do I? So let's what I because and this is something I'm not super familiar with. So talk about the so you sit down, you write a novel. How did you go from getting the novel in your hot little hands into the hands of somebody that could actually put it out and make it available in stores and stuff? I mean, I see that I obviously see that Life Engineered, that was something that you did entirely on your own, right? Now, did you get that into the?
Well, originally Life Engineered, I self-published, and my main goal for Life Engineered, because I've been studying, like as someone who's really kind of a marketing nerd, I've been studying how a lot of new media personalities get to the point where they're at. So I was looking at people like you and I are both cognizant. Well, you're a closer friend, but people like Justin and Brian. I was looking at Andrew Main. I was looking at a lot of podcasters and webcomic producers, how they approach things and how some of the models are different. And the one thing I very quickly noticed is that the first thing to do is get an audience. Like, it's not monetize your audience and then get an audience. It's get an audience, get people to like and be aware of what you produce.
Yeah. And
then from that point on, you can say, well, okay, right now I am producing at roughly 50% of my capacity, but if you want me to produce the things you love at 100% of my capacity, you're gonna have to pony up something so that I don't waste 40 hours a week at a day job.
Yeah.
So my goal when I self-published is I kept like I put the book at 99 cents, the cheapest I could go, and anytime that Amazon would allow me to give it out for free, I would give it out for free, and I would just shout on all the rooftops, "Hey, my book's for free! My book's for free!"
Yeah.
Which is, there's pros and cons. Like in marketing, when you give something for free, also you're kind of devaluing it.
Yep.
Yeah, you're telling people this is so shitty that I have to give it away. But at the same time, you know, it's a good way of getting more people to be aware of you. So it's a balancing act. But at some point, listening to Tom Merritt and Veronica Belmont's amazing book podcast, Sword and Laser, they announced that they were teaming up with a company called Inkshares to do a publishing contest. And if you put your book on Inkshares and you got enough pre-orders, it would get published. And if it was a good enough book or a good enough concept, Sword and Laser would put their name on it. And I was already self-published, so I was kind of all right. But the idea of having a podcast I really loved put their name on my book and make it part of their collection was so attractive to me. And I went, oh, I'm all in. Like I'm gonna do this. So I participated in that, and I got enough pre-orders to get the publishing deal. And then, to my surprise, Tom and Veronica picked my book out of the finalists to be in the collection.
Awesome.
Which was amazing.
Awesome.
And from that point on, things just starting building, because it's one of the things
so
that real quick.
So did that relationships, like, so did that first success, did that engender the other successes? I mean, were you able to leverage those successes to you know, the people that published God in the Shed, you know, like, did they know about you because of your success with the first book?
Yeah, it's basically God in the Shed got published on Inkshares also. So I did a normal crowdfunding campaign where I sold the 750 copies that you need to pre-sell to get a publishing deal with them. Because basically their thing is, like, you pre-sell 750 copies, which covers, I don't know, a third to half of the actual production costs, and they pony up the balance, and then they do an actual production where you go through the traditional editing process.
Cool.
So I did that with God in the Shed, but God in the Shed got a lot of help because it got, what happened, this is a story, like, I'll never get bored of telling it, but I know, like, a lot of my friends, especially some of them listening right now, are already bored of hearing it. But sorry, guys, here we go again. So basically what happened is that Inkshares has, when they publish a book, like, they don't just sit on the book, they try to get it translation deals, and they try to see if, like, anybody in Hollywood's interested. So cool. Obviously they send the book out to whoever they want. They have a good relationship with United Talent Agency, so they work through them. So they gave the book, they gave Live Engineered to UTA. Someone there liked it enough that they sent it to a bunch of production houses, and they liked it too. But the overwhelming response, and I even got, like, I think it's Vertigo Entertainment, the guys who did the first Lego movie, they got in touch with me on Facebook. Like, I think I'm allowed to talk about this right now, saying, like, hey, have the rights to Life Engineers been picked up? And I said, fuck no, here's my publisher's address, communicate with them, and nothing came of that. Yeah. Because the overwhelming feeling for Life Engineered, and when you read it, you'll understand, is that it is not a book you can easily make into a movie. It would be an expensive movie. It's pretty much 100% CGI, a lot of weird things, like, and I'm an unknown. Like, if I was J.K. Rowling saying, hey, make a movie out of my dumb robot books, everybody would jump over it, but I'm a nobody, so
you know
that's
what?
Not happening.
You know what? One way you could actually make it that would not cost a fortune would be animation.
That would be interesting. I don't know if it translates well to the animation.
What's that?
Because it's weird. I don't know if it translates well to animation because it's still a weird story.
Yeah. I'll like I said, I'm gonna after the show, I'm gonna pick it up and I'll put it in and I'll listen to it. But yeah, the thing is, like, it's like I definitely have a bunch of folks that I could definitely turn you on to. I still have a bunch of friendships in the animation world, so I could definitely turn them on to you.
That would be interesting.
If it seems like it translate. Yeah. But
I don't know. Like the overwhelming reaction was that it did not. But the question that came coming back down the pipe from these people was, well, what else does this dude have? And I was fortunate enough that I had got in the shed lying around being very slowly pre-ordered on Inkshares, and Inkshares went, well, he's got this other book, and that got significantly more traction because it's a lot easier to produce.
yeah, awesome. Awesome. That's great, man. Yeah, and you know, and it's funny because there is like that is one of the great things about God in the Shed. And for those of you that don't know the book, I highly recommend picking it up. It is a very fun read. It's also a pretty fast read. So it's a page turner. There is a lot of visual you know, it takes place in a small town. There are lots of the things that happen. You know, there's lots of cool visuals. It really does seem like it's tailor made for like if they fuck that up, I'd be very upset because it could be a great. It really does to me, to my estimation, it could be a really really awesome and fun movie. And the great thing is like, and I love that even the primary antagonist is still like, you know, he's an antagonist by circumstance. You know, it's like, you know, like it's got a lot of depth. It's a great story. It's got a lot of depth. I'm looking forward to reading the first. You get reading Life Engineer, and then I will definitely go and pre-order Archangel as well. Yeah. So very cool, man. So let's talk about the whole marketing thing, because this is something that and it's funny because most of the people that I have friends that I have tapped to do this show with me, most of them also kind of exist sort of on the periphery, like you know, like most of them have achieved enough success to be able to do what they do, and you know, like there's varying degrees of success, but all of them kind of have to come up with alternative ways in which to kind of get their music, get their books, get their games out in front of the people that even it's, and that's some of the weird things is like people might like love our second record, but that does not necessarily translate into them paying attention to the third record or the fourth record or the 10th record, you know? And that for me is like, that always blows my mind, right? The thing is like, wait, what's like, if you really love this one record, why would you, if you really love this one book, why wouldn't you read this book? If you really love this movie here, why would you not give the other, like, why would you not at least give the other movies a chance, you know? And I get it. The thing is that like, I can see why, you know, like life.
There's a lot of shit going on for a very limited bandwidth that people have to pay attention to things. So.
Yes. And the thing is, yeah, and that's the thing is like, and there's a lot of so it's like we need to keep finding ways to make it easier and easy, like which is ridiculous. Like it's like the U2, like, oh, we're gonna automatically put our album on your machine, like that's the logical extension of that kind of thinking, right? You know, and it drives me nuts because the thing is that like. So one thing I do want to say to the audience and say, like, if you do find people that you really love, and particularly if they're small, particularly if it seems like they have to work twice as hard to get a third of the success that other people do, then do try to, you know, stay on top of their stuff and do try to pay attention and do try to support them whenever, because the thing is because it is like as the numbers rise, as more and more people jump into the world of creating stuff, the thing is that like, and it's sad because for me it seems like, what are we going to get to a point where all people do is they do one work, they do one thing, and then if they don't make a living off of that one amazing thing or not so amazing thing, then it'll either be dilettantes, like you can't, no one will be able to make a living at it, or, you know, or it's going to be.
Yeah, to a certain degree, like you just look at how many, like there's obviously just a bunch of people like the J.K. Rowlings of the world, like they did a one thing and that one thing exploded. But a lot of like the vast majority of the artists that whose products we enjoy, like, even if you look at J.R.R. Martin, I mean, we all love Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones and stuff. But that guy's been doing he's been doing shit
Yeah,
forever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
no one like gave him jobs or supported the other things he was doing before, he may never have gotten to Game of Thrones. So it's like, if you like what someone does, I mean, you're not necessarily just you're not just buying what they're doing now and enjoying it now. You're also kind of investing in making sure that they keep doing more of it. Be selfish about it. Like, you like what Mike does as far as music, and you want to see more of it. I mean, yeah, he's putting out a 3 million songs a year, and that's amazing. But if you want him to get to 4 million, you're gonna have to pony up.
Well,
I don't know what the numbers are.
And it's funny. The thing is what, and that's the thing. So I can say that, and this is something that we were both talking about. I can say that from other people. I can talk about my friends' bands all day long and be like, these guys are fucking absolutely amazing, and these are my favorite songs, and these songs fucking rock my world, and this is why. And I can literally like give you, I could probably explain an album to you in a way where you would feel like you were intimate with that record without ever having heard it, because I'm that passionate about their music. I'm that passionate about my music, but I can't. Like, the thing is that, like, and certainly I've been doing this long enough that I've got a even though my skin is very thin, and even though I vacillate between significant self-loathing and a sense that maybe I might be doing something pretty okay, like where I spend more time in the self-loathing side of things than I do in the I'm doing okay thing. The thing is like, I still will never be able to be an advocate for my own stuff in the way I can be an advocate for my friends, And the thing is, and that sucks because when you don't have a team of people around you being advocates for your stuff, what the fuck do you do,
Yeah, I'm in the same situation. Like I said, I'm very fortunate that I have people who have become what's known in the marketing industry as brand ambassadors. Basically, people who will do that thing that I can't do for myself, which is go out and not just say, "Oh yeah, I've read it and I like it," but just actively, like Lesarge in the channel right now, and Amusles and Daniora, they all go out of their way to help me promote things, because first of all, they know me, and they're all creators in their own right, so they understand like the struggle of going and saying, because obviously I love what I do, I love my characters and I love my books, and I enjoy them, but I feel dishonest saying to someone else like, you will like them too. It's like, yeah. I feel like, it's up to you if you do, and I don't have I don't know if it's self-confidence or arrogance necessary to say, yeah, this is the best shit ever. This book will rock your world. Because and the thing doesn't, I feel like I'm letting people down.
And it's funny because the thing is that for me is like, because the reason why I can't say that full tilt is because for me, I also know the flaws. Like, I also know my own failings. Like, the thing is, I also know that there are other musicians that can outplay me on guitar, and there's other people that can outwrite me lyrically, and there's other people that can outwrite me melodically. And so when I try to talk about my stuff, and I try to and I think about it in the context of the entire scope of music, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just some guy that happens to say really just kind of like, angry shit to sing song melodies. Yeah, okay, that's my
It's part of it is like about, and this probably very much goes for music as well as it does for writing, is like I'm not trying to be the best. And this goes back like what you were saying at the beginning, like how I hate to see these things as a competition, because I completely disagree that it is competition. There's someone's going to be better at writing, someone's going to have a better vocabulary, have more poignant descriptions than I do as a writer. You're going to have better ideas and better structures, plots than I do. But
I think you meant to say she's going to have, but yeah.
They.
No.
I don't want to judge. Like I said he because I'm looking at an enhanced version of me.
Yeah. I see.
Of what I hope to be
one day. I see. Yes.
But like, future JF is definitely going to be better than present JF, because present JF is terrible. But what I'm getting at is that what I'm trying to promote to people, and this is where it's harder to say, hey, read my shit, it's good, is that what makes me unique is not that I'm the best, because no one is the best, because it's all subjective shit.
Sure.
Is but my voice is unique. The stories I tell are and the way I tell them are unique. And because of that, I can definitely say that there is, like, just by the math alone, just by statistics alone, there is a mass of people that will enjoy what I do enough to pay a bit of money every year to read a book I wrote.
Yes.
But that's because they like my voice, and I can't go to any stranger and say, read my book, you will enjoy my voice,
Because you don't know.
because
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Because yeah, that's exactly right. Because that's very funny, and that's exactly, I think the key thing is like, so it's finding your audience, right? And so the great thing is that the internet is now the great neutralizer, right? Like or the great equalizer. It now gives everybody an opportunity to go find that audience. We're all lots of us are now connected, millions and millions of us. Where before it literally would, like I have no idea how like you would break out as a novelist. I guess you could be what. You would, yeah. I have no idea how you break out as a novelist back in the day.
See, this is the part where I'm gonna be kind of I'm gonna disagree with you. Like we've definitely like opened the gates to, like, we're way more free to produce and put things out there. But whereas before there were gatekeepers kind of on a corporate level,
Sure.
now there's definitely gatekeepers on an influencer level. Like I'll give you like just a very simple example. Like anybody that is right now like an acclaimed best-selling novelist that has tens of thousands of followers is a gatekeeper, and they know it and they act like it because they're the people that can take they can take a lunatic like me and not
so
necessarily overnight, but like let's say tomorrow Neil Gaiman says says on Twitter almost every day, yeah, I read JF's book and I love it and you should all read it. That changes my career entirely.
Yeah.
This completely changes everything, because that means that my book gets picked up by a bunch of Neil Gaiman readers, and I like to think that the kind of weird stuff I write is maybe not caters to everyone that loves Neil Gaiman, but will cater to some of them.
Sure, absolutely.
And the vastness of his readership means that even if I get a small portion, it's a life changer for me. So the gatekeepers are still there. They're just different gatekeepers.
Yeah. And I do, but I do agree with you on that. From what I was saying is that like you can still go and find. I mean, the thing is it's just like you can go and you can go personally yourself. And if you were to spend, you could spend 6 hours a day, which is what I used to do back in the MySpace days. And you could go and reach individual people and be like, here's my stuff. Are you interested? And the thing is, and knowing that you're going to get 2% of people are going to be like, yeah, that's awesome. Like I really dig this, And the thing is, and you can slowly but surely build that audience by just slogging through that, that's the thing is that like, that's probably not the best way to spend your time, but the thing is that like, but there are,
there's a path that wasn't there before, and
yeah.
In a way, I'm kind of going to contradict what I just said, but one of the things that I did notice, like when I remember the first time I went to Nerdtacular, where we met last couple summers ago, 2 years prior to that, I went to Nerdtacular and some guy came up to me and asked me like how to we had this discussion about the path to getting published. And one of the things that I was talking about is how my path was from the point of view of someone who's coming from a graphic design background and from a marketing background, where I have no writing credit. I have no writing education. Like I don't have an English major. I don't have a creative writing major. If I go to a publisher, even if I bring them like the next Harry Potter, they look at my cover sheet. They look at my bio, and they do any research on me. And there's no reason to spend any of their precious time reading even the first line of my manuscript or my pitch, because they get a million pitch a day and all the pitches sound wonderful and they all sound lovely and interesting, but they need that extra something. So this ties back to why I was giving away my first book, is to be able to add to this resume when applying to a publisher, being able to say, hey, yeah, I self-published a book. It got this many downloads and it's got that many reviews, and being able to sort of
create my own pedigree. And to a certain degree, like if I can sort of slowly build my own following without going through one of those quote unquote gatekeepers, eventually, even if I don't go through one of the gatekeepers, I will get there.
Yeah.
But that sort of initial boost that you get is still in the hands of someone else.
Yeah, and it's funny. And the thing is, like, and for my money, like the thing is that like the only, there's always the opportunity, there's always going to be the chance that maybe a Neil Gaiman does say, hey, I read J.F. Dubeau's book and I fucking thought it was great. You know, like the thing is like that there's always that possibility. But the thing is it like, but in the worst case scenario where that never happens, you know, the thing is like you're already on the path. Like you've already got books. You've got the 2 books out. You've got another book in the offing. You've got another book in the offing. You've got a bunch of books in your back catalog. You're always like, the thing is that like, and that I think for me is the most important thing is just staying in the game, you know, like just keeping at it and sticking with it. And, you know, and it's funny because for me in 2000, between 2000, well, it really was 2012 and 2013. You know, that was at a point in time when I didn't have access to my fan, like MySpace for me was a really, really amazing point in time because I would post a daily blog and I had about 2,000 people that would read that blog entry every single day. They like, you know, and so I'd have 2,000 people that read it the moment I posted it. And then there'd be, and I had 70,000, at a high point, we had 70,000 friends, you know, and all of that was me just being very, very actively aggressive about turning people onto the band and then making sure we had good music, you know. And when everybody migrated from MySpace to Facebook, after me having spent 6 hours every single day working on MySpace and then being like, fuck, I have to start from scratch and on Facebook. The thing is like, I didn't realize what at that point. So I just kind of gave up on the whole thing, which was the absolute worst thing to do. What I should have done is I should have stayed in the game. I should have been like, hey guys, I'm still doing stuff on MySpace, because I definitely had people saying the only reason why I tune into MySpace is to read your blog every day. You know, so what I should have done is been like, hey guys, I'm also posting these things on Facebook. Come like me on Facebook and come like, and we're gonna slowly but surely migrate over to Facebook. And I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And I kicked myself, you know, every day. For at least 3 or 4 hours in the morning. I just flash,
shower, kick yourself.
But the thing is but that was an important lesson, you know, and that's, and the way I learned those, and that's a lesson that is indelibly seared into my psyche, because I saw that I had this vast success, and then I just walked away from it, you know. So the thing is it, but for me, like, it really is, it's so you just keep grinding it out, you know. Like the thing is, it's like in 2012, 2013, so I didn't have contact with any fans. Everybody had migrated to Spotify. My Spotify numbers were pretty okay, but like it was just the Grey's Anatomy songs and that was it, you know. And it really felt like I was treading water and my career was just evaporating, you know. And I really contemplated, as I've done multiple times throughout my career, maybe I give up music and maybe I move on to something else, you know. But the thing is that like, but every single time I try to move on to something else, it turns out that I'm now constitutionally incapable of like I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter. This is what I do. This is why I'm on this earth. And the moment I reconciled myself to that, the moment I was like, okay, this is me, there's no walking away. Now I got to get out there and I got to figure out how to fucking make it work. You know, it was at that point in time that I was like, all right, well, let me see. Like, maybe let me try Twitch and let me try YouTube and let me try these things and let me, you know. And the thing is like, and it's still building and it's still working, but it's you know, it's a long process, you know. But the key thing is you stay in the game.
It's a slow grind. Maybe I'm lying to myself, but one of the things I keep telling myself when I look at, say, I compare my progress to the progress of other more instantly successful authors, is I like to think that I have a better understanding of how the career is built by going through this slower process. Like I look again, say at Andrew Mayne, who wrote maybe a dozen books before he got to the point where he wrote like the Jessica Blackwood novels, and he's now with the
The Naturalist, which is a huge success. Like I have much more confidence in hearing his opinion of what the career building process is for an author than I would J.K. Rowling. I wouldn't listen to the first thing J.K. Rowling has to say about how to become an author because she never became an author. She never went through the process. One day she wrote a book, and the next day she was a successful writer that made her living off of it.
Yeah.
There was no buildup. There was no time where she juggled the writing career and the in another career. I mean, she had. I'm not saying she didn't have like another completely different shit pile to deal with. Like she had other problems to deal with, but the passage from where she was not an author to where she was J.K. Rowling was damn near instantaneous.
Sure. Yeah. It was not Newt Hampson starving and Christiana, selling a paper he wrote to a newspaper for 10-15 cents so he could buy some bread.
Exactly.
Once every 2 or 3 weeks.
She didn't sell CDs out of the trunk of her car after gigs in shitty bars. She went from 0 to 100 almost immediately. So while her input as a writer or as someone navigating the halls of success would be interesting, her giving people like me hints on how to build a career is completely irrelevant. It's Donald Trump trying to explain to someone how to build a business. Like, you inherited business and business money. Like, you don't know how to build something from scratch. And I don't begrudge her success, but I don't see where I would get tips from her. I would rather get tips from someone like Andrew Mayne, who had to actually build piece by piece the house he's living in.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I think I really do. I think that and this is kind of what I feel very much about the way my stuff. Like, the thing is it like if you take your experience and you build it into the stuff you're writing, right? The thing is that, like, it's always going to make its way into whatever it is you're doing. The thing is that, like, there's a lot more people taking our path than there are people taking J.K. Rowling's path, which means that there's going to be a lot more people with whom your perspective is going to resonate as opposed to her perspective. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Like, it's the numbers are vastly different. That's why I compare it to winning the lottery. Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, my career path, I want my career path to be J.K. Rowling, to be Andy Weir.
Yeah, I want to write my first book and have it be knocked out of the park and
exactly
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, I want it to be immediately make me a millionaire that never has to think about building an audience. It's different. And the thing is, like, a lot of people, like, Funaki mentions, like, that, like, most writers have a lot of rejection letters, and that's absolutely true. But on average, like, someone like me, and I know a few people that you do apply to get traditionally published, you get your 100 rejection letters, and eventually someone says yes, and they give you an advance. They don't give you J.K. Rowling money advance. They don't give you Andy Weir money advance. They give you an advance that will cover maybe 25% of your annual salary. They'll publish your book, but then they'll saddle you with all the promotional work. You still need to do a lot of footwork to bring in your own audience. It's one of the things that we have, like, in the Inkshares community, like the other writers. They get they make this comparison. They say, yeah, Inkshares is great because they'll publish your book, but you still have to do your own promotion, your own marketing. It's like, I hate to break it to you guys, but do a bit of research. Even if Tor or HarperCollins publishes you, and you just have to listen to Andrew Mayne, going back to him, like, when he talks about being published by HarperCollins, they do a bit of marketing. They don't do J.K. Rowling level marketing.
Yeah, and it's. And I
still have to work for it.
Yeah, and I definitely do think that, like, that people like J.K. Rowling, Stephen King, these sort of, like, mega, like, they're kind of out, like, they sort of exist in a completely different world, like and it's always, but the thing is that, like, but even 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 like work a day. In fact, I've got somebody that's going to be guesting on this same show tomorrow at the same time. A buddy of mine by the name of Joe Clifford, and I think he's published like 8 or 9 books, and he's he works he actually works he works as a professional author. He also does editing, and I think he just left his editing gig, but the thing is like even he still is at this point, like, he's constantly, in fact, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about, because he had an agent, and those agents were doing good things for him, and they just got him a 3-book deal and blah blah blah. But the thing is that, like, I don't want to talk too much about it, because I don't want to spoil it. But the thing is, he walked away. He walked away for reasons that for me really deeply resonated. He walked away from that system, from the agent system, from the gatekeeper system, and he's
very curious to hear that episode then, because I have the agenting thing is something I'm very curious about.
Yeah. So then definitely do tune in tomorrow, because I do think that there's for me as an iconoclast by nature, and as somebody that doesn't like to ask permission from anybody, and also someone that resents if you I hate music journalists, because they're not journalists, and B, they don't know music. Like, the thing is, like, it's like their
entire profession's a lie.
Yeah, they're just people that put, like, listen to music. That's all that, like, that's like, all right, I can turn a clever phrase, but the thing is that, like, but they don't. So to let somebody like that, like, run roughshod over something I've spent I've spent a whole year working on. Like, every time I get a bad review and it feels like they phoned that review in, I literally want to find them, and I just want to I want to be like, you got 3 choices: your left eyeball, your right eyeball, your tongue. Let me know. And you can only make this mistake 3 times. And the thing is that, like, and so for me, I find myself boxed in by my like, the thing is so I don't want to send my stuff out to be reviewed. I don't want to I don't want to deal with a record label, like, so like I have a very narrow career path. I'm like, all right, this is my career path now, because there are things I refuse to to compromise on.
It's funny, because on the path I'm in, I'm realizing that there are certain things that I compromise on without even thinking, and some things that I'm getting more and more inflexible about. Like, the funny thing is, like, we've been going. There's been some back and forth with the whole, like, television option for God in the Shed.
Yeah.
And I very quickly realized that I did not care. It's funny, because, like, every time I hear people talk about, like, oh, if my book got optioned and made into a TV or into TV series or into a movie, like, I would want to be so into it. And I very quickly realized that I did not give a shit whatever they do with
That's the healthiest perspective to have, because once they own the rights, they will fuck. They give no fucks about you at all. I mean, the thing is, like,
But here's the weird thing. It's just anecdotally is they do.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, okay, hold on. So what I'm saying
they
is,
have the right not to.
Yeah, no, yeah. And the thing is and what they and as the production gets moving along, the thing is that, like, there will be, eventually it builds up a head of steam, and basically it's only the people at the top that are going to have any control over it. Okay, like, so it's, if they're doing a series, it's going to be your showrunner, and if they're doing it, and if it's a movie, then it's going to be the director, and that's basically, and the people that, like, the real decision makers at the top, because the thing is, yeah, and it does, and so, yeah, it's like, man, like it's crazy how things just kind of get run away, like, they just, it gets, everybody's like, yay, it's gonna be amazing, and and then we're gonna do a co-production, and we need to so we need to do some of this stuff. We need to shoot some of this overseas, and we also have to also have some overseas actors, and we've got a really great location, but the location doesn't really work for us. So we're just gonna change this portion of the story just to accommodate this location, and then we're gonna add this character, and what about this is a perfect location for vampires, so let's throw in a vampire. It won't be like
I hope it doesn't get that bad.
Yeah, I know. But what I was saying is like that kind of shit happens so regularly. It's you're like the wind feels good, and the next thing you know, your face is gone. It's just skull.
One of the things I also came to realize, like everything you mentioned are all pitfalls that a production can fall to. And
yeah,
I completely agree. And one of the things I came to realize very quickly is that the worst threat is the biggest problem, like the biggest hurdle that keeping the story true to itself is going to encounter is that at every step of this development, from the screenwriters to the stylists to the location scouts, every one of these people considers themselves and are in a certain way creative people. They're all artists who want to leave their own little mark. And even if it's one of them leaving like this little mark saying, oh, this village is the perfect place to shoot this series because from what I know of the story, from what I've read in the book, this is how I see it.
Yeah.
And a million fans could disagree, but that's how he saw it. That's one thing. And then the stylist decides, I want this character to be dressed like that because that's how I pictured it when I read the book or I read the treatment.
Yeah.
A million fans could disagree, but that's how they saw it. Like incrementally, you get these tiny little changes that just moves the needle further and further away from what's going to be true. And I could try to be the author who has nowhere in my contract where I have executive control over anything, screaming in the background that they're perverting my vision of like my second book, and just basically screaming at the wind that they're fucking everything up. Or I can leave it be, and if it's similar, marvel at that miracle. And if it's different, appreciate it for the separate piece of art that it's going to be.
Yeah,
assuming it even gets there.
And there there definitely are, and there are myriad representations of people that actually were able to remain true to the vision. There's one big one which is a gigantic movie is a series of movies is like obviously the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings movies, they were pretty damn spot on, and certainly they had to remove, the Tom Bombadil stuff and certain other portions of but for the most part, every major beat in those books makes it into that, into those movies. And the thing is that's the thing is it really does come down to who, it comes down to budget, and it comes down to the person at the top, the decision makers being like, but the thing is, have they generated a screenplay yet? Do they option it as a series or as a film?
It's optioned as a series.
Awesome.
Which is great. There's been, this is the funny thing is, and like I suspect I can probably tell this part of the story without getting into trouble with anybody.
NDA stuff.
Yeah, I don't have a very specific NDA, so I can probably flap my lips as much as I want. So basically, what happened is this is all public knowledge. The book got optioned by Skydance Media and to be produced by Akiva Goldsman, and they've been trying for the last almost year and a half to get a proper showrunner for it, and it's been kind of a struggle. Because every time they would bring something, like someone would bring something to Skydance would shoot it down. What's been kind of interesting is that usually they would shoot it down because the screenwriters, the showrunners would bring a script for a pilot that would change the mythology and change the location, and Skydance would say, no, that's not what we bought. Like, stick to the book. Yeah. And I was amazed that it's the production company defending the integrity of the story.
Good.
And at the same time, very, very recently, they've been so annoying with it that we kind of wanted to pull away from Skydance and basically say, look, you're not getting anywhere with this. And we want to go try to sell to someone else, and there's other reasons why we could have maybe done that. And Skydance just doubled down and said, no, we absolutely want to do this.
That's
Just
awesome, man.
Bring us more ideas.
That's awesome.
So I'm optimistic because it seems that everyone involved wants it to get done, but at the same time, I have a feeling that no one has a super clear picture of how. And that
sure.
But again, it's a weird story, so
yeah. The thing is like, you know, I mean, so, you know, like trying to think like the guys that, you know, like the guys that did Stranger Things, you know, like there's gonna be people that have done stuff, you know, that, you know, in fact. Anyway, yeah, we should talk off, you know, off camera. The thing is like, you know, because there are, I mean, the thing is like, because once if you get showrunners that can actually that can manage the storytelling in a great way, you know, the thing is like everything else, like and it's funny because that's like, and you've got so many amazing options for getting a series like this made nowadays, you know, it's like, because you've got
crazy,
you know, yeah, and so the thing is that like, yeah, man, I'm excited for you. That's fucking really great news. That's really great news.
The thing is, right now I'm kind of, and I've been living in this bubble for a year and a half, where I'm assuming it'll never happen.
Well, and to be totally frank, that's probably the healthiest attitude to have, you know. But the thing is that like, but just because that way you couch yourself for any disappointment. But the thing is that like, but it is a unique story. I think it's a great story, and it definitely does. I could definitely see how it would translate very easily into a. Into a series. And then the great thing is if you get the sequel out in time, you know, I have now. Have you thought about the sequel in terms of the way it integrates to the remainder of how it integrates into that universe? I mean, was the sequel? Did you develop the sequel predicated on the idea that, or was there any thought put into it from the perspective of this might also translate into the show as well?
I've never really given much thought about how it would translate to any kind of media. I conceptualized the story as a 3-book story. Like it's a horror trilogy, which I don't think is something that people do very much. But again, weird. I'm not good at following trends. I'm kind of like you. Like I'm also an iconoclast in the way like my publisher said, oh, you should read Save the Cat to understand how to build things. And I read it and I went, I want to break every single one of those fucking rules.
Yeah.
Because every one of these rules is why I go to the movie and I can predict what's going to happen down to the dialogue nowadays. But so I'm like, and this is where I'm maybe a bit different from a lot of other my other friends who are writers. Like they write their books, and then when someone asks them, oh, who would you see playing this character? And they got like this entire casting sheet for their entire character roster. And people ask me, who would you see doing this character? I have no idea, but I have ideas who I'd like to do the soundtrack. I don't know music, but I think it would sound cool if it was this. I've never really considered it as a possibility. And even as a possibility, like I don't know actors enough. I've never thought about it. Like one of the very first meeting I had, like when my publisher called me and says, yeah, we're people are interested in making a TV show out of God in the Shed. We're going to have this telephone meeting so that we can talk about it. And then I was on this phone call with a bunch of people, and there was some producers and some screenwriters in there and people from Blumhouse and blah, blah, blah. And they're all talking. I'm listening to them talk about how they want to take the book and where they want to cut each episode in each season from the first book. I'm like, this is just surreal. Like, I don't have input for you guys. Like, unless you have questions, I can gladly answer, but everything's mumbo jumbo. Like this, none of this is things that I had. I didn't like, because they were asking me like, have you considered like where you think like a good season break would be? No, I wrote a book.
Yeah. Well, no, wait, and are they talking about doing that show as multiple seasons? Like the book is multiple seasons?
Yes, actually, it's like now that I've seen the process and how they want to develop it. I understand how they want to cut things, and like it's very interesting where they want to do these cuts.
I'm thinking about like where there would be a season break.
You're from that industry a bit, so you probably look at it that way a lot more than I do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, and you know, and there, the thing is, I mean, but there really are there is ample story, and the great thing is that like, you know, you can, because television, you can do it in such a, you know, it kind of works in long form. You can take time to explore the characters and really kind of develop relationships. And the thing is, like, and I swear to God that anybody that works in film and TV is going to certainly build in you got high school kids. Of course, there's going to be there's going to be relationships. Like, there's going to be all that shit that you're like, why would this be in there? That's certainly going to be in there.
And here's the thing, like, I am fine with that. I am fine, like, because the thing is, like, what they can do, like, let's say they take the first book and cut it into 3 seasons, they can add so much more material than I have in the 450 pages I had. Like, I had a story to tell, and there's reasons why I don't have that many relationships in the book. Like the book has situations where you have characters losing family members and like world threatening situations. And I'm the boring one, but whenever I was in situations in my life that were truly dramatic, like I got hit by a car and I had my legs broken, like I didn't wind up in the hospital and woke up and went and immediately thought, man, I need to make out now. Like this is a traumatic event in my life. It seems like the beats are right for me to start to have a meet cute.
That's crazy, because pretty much every experience I have, whether it's like the moment I brush my teeth, I'm like, I need to make out right now. You know, I just made some food. I need to make out right now.
Your experience with morphine may have been different from mine, but when I woke up from that surgery, morphine's. I fucking hate morphine. Morphine's a shitty drug. Someone needs to explain to me why people do that fucking shit recreationally.
Yeah.
It is just like the worst.
If you've got heroin, why would you ever do morphine? That's all I have to say. No. But
please tell me that PSA.
Yeah.
If you've got heroin.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, all of that is awesome. So I'm gonna actually have to get out of here pretty soon, because I've got to get ready I'm meeting a friend for dinner. So we'd be interested. So my hope was that this would be kind of a running kind of dialogue. Like, we'd have you back in maybe a couple months and just kind of talk about kind of like, because my thinking would be that as, there's always going to be new perspectives on the kind of stuff you're dealing with, and your current struggles and your current triumphs, and so if you're interested, I would love to just kind of keep this conversation going.
I totally be into it. Like the idea of that's something I'm probably going to need to sit down and start doing on my own, but being able to do it also like on the stream is a good addition. Is kind of better chronicling how things are evolving. Like, I know the next few months are probably going to see some development. Just me turning in a new manuscript, and turning in this one manuscript is going to free me to start shopping another manuscript around. Like, it's like there's things are going to develop, and I'm not necessarily keeping good track of what's going on, and I should. So having that dialogue would be probably very important to me.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be great. And again, and really do I really truthfully I do think that you setting up a Patreon would be a great idea, and just kind of give people an inside look into kind of like your process and how and I mean you could even I'm fairly certain that you could probably even get away with a full year of just using all your back stuff, like being like, hey, like this is the stuff I'm doing right now, but I'm not ready to release it, but here's chapters and here's bits of of the stuff I've done in the past, and you could probably even just use that.
Recently, I've been experimenting with how much I can produce within a certain period of time, to see, like, can I keep a certain level of production for normal publishing and producing manuscripts to work on, but at the same time being able to do one thing a week that I can put on for Patreon to, because one of the problems I have, and I don't want to go too deep because I don't want to keep you up, but one of the problems I have is because I'm only releasing so far like a book a year, it's really hard to keep a conversation going with my audience. Like with my readers, they only hear from me when I like have a new book or when I need them to help me finance a book. It's not a great relationship. Being
Sure.
able to, even if I don't make money off of a Patreon, if it allows me to have this structure by which I regularly communicate with my readers and give them something to enjoy and something to give me feedback on, it'll be a much better relationship with my audience. So I've got extremely ambitious plans for 2018, and there's already like a 12th of it almost gone. So it's kind of frustrating that I'm not further along. But like I said, like once I've got this one manuscript done, I'll be able to look at these different avenues and be able to sort of work into that.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah. Well, I'm excited. I would I would love to, I would love to just kind of keep checking in and kind of seeing how things are progressing and
Absolutely anytime.
okay, cool, awesome. And then yeah, best of luck. So yeah,
Damn it, I forgot. Like I promise. I need 2 more minutes of your time because I promised my friends that we would talk a bit about dinosaur fucking because because I've been thinking about paleophile a bit in the past 2 days, more than that, and I've got a pitch for you.
Okay.
First of all, people need to listen to Paleophile. It's an amazing song. It's heart wrenching. It's got a lot of drama. It's beautiful. It'll elevate your soul. But I keep having this vision in my brain that it needs a probably YouTube only explicit tag music video, and I've had this idea of having we need to get our hands on, well, not physically, he'd sue us, but we need to somehow get in touch with Alan Tudyk and have him dressed as Wash from Serenity, not advertised as such because of breach of IP and all that. But essentially just have him for the duration of the video and cut back and forth between him and, say, you singing. Have him play with Plastic Dinosaur like he does in the show, but have him do horrible things as he
It's the Teen America puppet love scene, but with dinosaurs. Yeah.
And the more he does, like he just keeps accumulating more and more plastic dinosaurs in sexual positions on his desk. But every time he has one, like have like a little black strip that kind of hides the naughty parts of the plastic until like towards the end of the video, like almost the entire screen is just black bars and pieces of dinosaurs.
I think if he were to do that though, he would actually have to be dressed in one outfit and then have an action figure of himself in the exact same outfit that he's used, like because it's about wanting to have sex. So it would be having him, in all of these, these. So as it becomes a bigger expanding orgy.
Yeah, your note is perfect.
Yeah.
So here's what everybody that's listening needs to do. Tweet Alan Tudyk the link to the Paleophile and say and tell him he needs to be in the music video.
Yeah. If he
that won't backfire at all.
If he agrees, then I will make that video. So that's
yes.
Yeah.
That's
if he
I
says
said I would.
Yeah, if he says, which would be awesome because then this would be the first video for the first single of the band that is the Mike TV live chat collaboration band, whatever we call it, like that'll be great. I would love that this song and this band, the success of completely outstrip anything I've ever done on my own. That would be awesome. I think
Alan Tudyk is the gateway by which we penetrate that audience.
Awesome. That's genius. That's hilarious.
And the worst thing is I just he'd be into it, I feel. So yeah, anyways, that's my pitch. I promise I like it. I like dinosaur fucking.
Yeah, awesome. There you go. I like it. Yeah, well we'll have to. Yeah,
Did I derail your closing statement?
No. Yeah. So again. So real quick. So let me just say to those of you that are here. I mean, I know I'm fairly certain that if you're here and you've been watching this during the duration of the show, you now know who JF Dubeau is. If you didn't know him before, I cannot in any way more highly recommend this book It is fucking awesome. It's a really fun read. It's a page turner. There's one chapter in particular that remains with me to this day. Like it haunts me. I mean, there's lots of amazing moments in the book, but there just happens to be one chapter that really owned me. So, I'm gonna be so I invite you guys to fall in love with this stuff as well. Check it out and become and join his legion, his hopefully soon to be legions of fans, but you get to get in on the ground floor. So thank you, JF, and yeah, man, this has been a ton of fun.
Thanks for having me. Like ever since we chatted at Nerdtacular, like I've just, oh shit, he's not just cool at doing music, he's also super fun to chat with. I want to chat more with him. So
awesome.
This was great.
Awesome. We'll do it again soon. And then for those of you that are, if you've got time tomorrow, we're doing it's right around the same exact time. So it'll be 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm doing another conversation with my buddy Joe Clifford, who's also another author. He basically writes kind of noir kind of books. And he just got a new 3-book deal. And so he just got a 3-book deal, but he also just dropped his agents. He wrote about that experience, and it really resonated with me. And so I was like, I want to have you on because there's lots of parallels between his life and his approach to art and my life and my approach to art. So that should be pretty exciting. And and then we'll have JF back, maybe a couple months.
Absolutely. I'm down for it.
All right, cool. Then I'll reach out to you about that. And then and so thank you guys. Thanks everybody that are here in the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out and participating and checking out the show. And again, this is my idea behind the show is just I want to bring in people that I know that make amazing and cool shit, and then just talk about that process, talk about our frustrations and our woes, and also talk about our triumphs and our successes, and everything in between. And then my hope is that we get to have this be a continuing dialogue. So hopefully I get to a point where I've got 20 or 30 people and we're just kind of talking, over the course of, a number of years as we kind of see each other grow. So that's the hope. So, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. And so thanks everybody. And, so I'm going to do the cards. I didn't come up with a closing thing. So I'm just going to do this, which is the opening thing. And, and we'll go out. And I love you guys. I'll see you soon. And, Jeff, can you stick around for just a second?
Absolutely. No problem, man.
Right on, brother. 1 second. Here we go. This is song. Here we go.